So I'd just like to say hi. We're doing another little bonus stream here on Saturday. Uh, we were gonna do another Borderlands stream, try to get that up and running, but we were actually playing D&D, and it ran a little late today. Not D&D 40K, just regular D&D with friends. Special shout out to Sadie and to Patrick, our DM, for that. You may also all know him as the Commissar
Hello. Can you hear me?
from our D&D 40K stream. Yes, I can hear you, Nate. Stop trying to talk over me. Doing my opening. Hello? Nate? Nate? You're thumping, bud. What's going on? Hello? Oh, apparently. Hold on. Oh. No, it's on. It's showing me in the thing. Wonder why I'm not. Sorry, we're having a slight. Hello? 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 Hmm. That's odd. Okay. Hello. There we go. Can you hear me now, Nate? Nate? Ah. Oh, there we are. Hey, Nate, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Alrighty. I don't know what it did. Anyway, so we're going to be talking a little bit today on the state of geekdom. And what I mean by that is how, in the matter of my lifespan at least, we went from ostracizing and basically down-putting most of us people who found, you know, joy in the fantasy world. I mean,
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel's been around for a while, but it's not really the same.
Mm.
That was more like Star Trek and stuff that's already been around for 30 years, but it's only been recently due to some rather fortunate events with especially D&D. I'm talking more about D&D, Warhammer 40K, our Marvel stuff, things like that.
Yes.
All of that came about very recently. People think, oh, comics have been around forever, and they have been around for a long time.
Hmm.
But for the most part, they're all for kids. That's kid stuff. For most of my life, that's what I heard. Now it's this mainstream thing,
Hmm.
and it's kind of nice, but in a way, we lose something too.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, in general, what was once not, I wouldn't say taboo, that didn't really draw us, but what once was ours has now become everybody's. And it's good to include people. I'm not saying
Hmm.
that, but the problem we run into is that once it becomes everybody's, you take the core, what originally drew even the other people into it, and we've taken that and we've tried to stretch it. We've tried to
Hmm.
stretch it and stretch it and stretch it so it encompasses everybody. Now Nate
Yeah.
here, he pointed something out to me once because I didn't really see it firsthand until he showed it to me anyways. That the what were those three Marvel characters or four Marvel characters? The super
Um.
the super unhelpful bunch. I don't remember what they're called.
Uh. I don't remember what their name is, but Safe Space, Snowflake, whatever. What's his name? I don't remember. I don't remember the backpack girl's name.
Yeah.
And the Internet Boy. There's probably another one in there or something, but those are the ones I remember.
Yeah.
But they aren't like the only one that would be considered useful in my opinion, because this is my very expert opinion, of course, would be the snowflake one because they have a offensive power that can be used defensively. Like safe space can protect other people, but not themselves.
Yeah.
And the girl with the backpack literally just has a bottomless backpack. Her superpower is being Dora. Like, and she's the most powerful out of them, as you
This is
said earlier,
true.
because she could just take the backpack and go whoop and have a person gone entirely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember that. Like her whole thing is she has like this little pocket dimension, and
Hmm.
she manifests it in her backpack. But what she really has is the power of basically in a strange way. It's just like I said, it's just a little pocket dimension, and
Hmm.
that's helpful. Don't get me wrong.
It's actually very powerful. It's just not used correctly.
Correct.
Because if you can manifest a pocket dimension wherever you want, you can kill anybody instantly.
Yeah, because you can't breathe in this pocket dimension, if I remember correctly.
I would assume that there would be some oxygen sucked in there occasionally, but there's not going to be enough for you to stay there.
Right.
But that's another problem with all this stuff happening. Whereas when you make this kind of media available for everybody and you try to make it for everybody rather than just appealing to something interesting or a certain demographic, you make Mary Sue and Gary Stu characters where they're like, is it okay to say her name?
Who?
The new Star Wars character, Miss Skywalker.
Oh, is it okay? Yeah, you can say it.
It's like a
So,
swear word. I have to ask permission. But
no,
Ray is she's a big example of that because she had no training and went toe to toe against like somebody who is equal, if not greater than Vader. Like Kylo Ren's very powerful. He had been trained in this stuff his whole life, and she had just started and went toe to toe against them and came out evenly.
now let's not forget that Snoke, the travesty that was his story. Now, a lot of people don't, they don't really understand that. I don't think they understand it, anyways. Maybe they do. That Snoke is literally. Now, this is coming from lore from uh, the animated series, but
Mm-hmm.
until then, we hadn't heard about Snoke.
Yeah.
But Snoke is, that he might be in other books that I haven't read and things like that. But what I know from him from the animated side is,
Mm-hmm.
and this is going to lead me into my next point, is that he was literally the embodiment and the whole encompassing of dark side. He was part of
Yeah.
the balance. He had him and his sister. Those were the two. If anybody remembers these episodes from the animated series,
I remember those. It's been a
yeah,
long time
they
since I
went to
watched
the
them.
weird planet that they found out of nowhere, which, if I'm not
It is the
mistaken, is
Force.
technically the same planet that Palpatine just got his butt whooped on. That's the same planet.
I'm googling that actually. I think that's
I think
right.
it is. I can't remember now. But um, so Snoke is the dark side. He knows every bit of the dark side. He can transform into whatever he wants. He is the embodiment of evil. Though tortured by it, he is the embodiment of evil. And they cut him in half instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Overpower him. No, 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 no.
Overpowered him immediately.
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker, who is in the lore anyways, for part of it. From my understanding, for all of it, but the most powerful Jedi ever created. He was supposed to be the balanced person. And they showed his fall from that position, which, they mention in Return of the Sith. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force. Remember, if anybody remembers that epic when Obi-Wan says that to him right before he cuts
Mm-hmm.
his arm and legs off. Uh, but he's like, you were supposed to return balance. Obi-Wan was with him when he failed that objective, when they were
Yeah.
on that planet in the animated series.
on I mean, I don't remember the name of the planet now. How can I not remember?
I can't.
Mustafar.
Yeah, and that should be the planet. If I'm not mistaken, that is the planet they went to in.
Clone Wars?
No, in the
No,
animated series.
no,
No,
that's
Mustafar is
different.
a system. That's not a planet.
No, that's the name of the planet. That's the planet that Obi-Wan and Anakin fought on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Um, yeah, that's fine. But no, what I'm specifically talking about is, yeah, that's when they did the whole little fight thing. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. He yells that out, and he's like, you were supposed to bring balance to the Force, and what the heck? How am I out of that? We'll just do steel. If enough steel, I should have tons of it. 2,000, yeah, I'm fine. This guy gets all steel stuff, but
I'm
so
looking for the name of the planet.
he could not defeat. He being the most powerful Jedi ever, bar none, being a literal Jesus of the um, Star Wars realm. At least that's how they described him in uh, the first movie, or technically the third movie, however you want to look at it.
Hmm.
Do you remember that part when he's
Which
like,
one?
it was immaculate conception, basically.
Immaculate Conception. No, I'm sorry. I was reading something. I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah. New Hope.
No. Sorry, the third one.
Chronologically or in release time?
Chronologically.
Oh, Revenge of the Sith. Okay.
No, third. No. Uh,
No, not Revenge of the Sith.
the
Why can I
very
not
the
remember the
first one of the
names?
second three because it was terrible. That's why you can't remember it.
The first one of the second three. The
Yes.
sequel trilogy?
Yes.
Force Awakens. That's what it's called.
No, that's the third set.
Okay.
So
The
you have
first
your
one.
original three, and then you have your second three.
Are you going
Episode one.
in
Episode one. It was he
Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace. There you go. He
Okay.
explains that he was immaculate conception.
Mm.
Or his mother says that, anyways. It's
Hmm.
basically they're no daddy. Daddy don't exist.
He just poof.
Yeah, the Force made Anakin. So that makes him the literal embodiment of the Force, if that makes sense. He is extremely powerful. More powerful than any Jedi that has ever been. And he could not defeat Snoke himself.
Hmm.
You're telling me that Mary Sue overpowered someone who defeated Anakin in a mind fight?
Well,
No.
she didn't do it. Kylo Ren did.
Okay, Kylo Ren. Still not as powerful as Anakin.
Hmm. Anakin was
That's third generation. That's
immensely
three away.
powerful.
That's not even second gen. That's third gen from the most
Hmm.
powerful Jedi ever created. No, he may be strong, but there's nothing described, anyways, that has weakened Snoke. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, and like I was saying, that's going to bring me to my next point. So, the old saying of too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many directors in the movie.
Not even that. So what we have is, okay, here's all our stuff, and it's great to invite new people. New people bring new ideas, new light. But the problem is in modern day that people like to have just their ideas
And they don't
because
want
they're
anybody else's.
spoiled. So, but what you can't do is take the idea
Hmm.
that you are okay. So you have the Star Wars world, the entire universe that has been created, since 1978,
I
right?
think so.
I think eight. I think. So you have your 1978 creation.
This one says 1977 was
Oh,
the
okay.
first
So it was
movie.
77. I couldn't remember if it was 78 or 77
I mean,
or
you're really
79.
close.
Yeah. Um, I like Star Wars, but it is not my. And I'm just using this as an example of what is happening overall in the larger scale of all of geekdom. And it's just one that a lot of people know because people are more familiar with Star Wars than they are with most others. Um, and it's the only one that's really that it was the first one this happened to. Uh,
Hmm.
One big thing is that take like Lord of the Rings. It didn't happen to Lord of the Rings because the people who own Lord of the Rings did not allow it to happen.
Yeah.
So everybody's favorite George Lucas said, "Okay, I'm done doing these movies," which is kind of a slap in the face if you take my thought process on that. To all the fans, all the very loyal fans of Star Wars, and he said, "Here, Disney, it's yours. You don't have to consult me."
Well, they bought his whole
Yeah, they
company.
bought LucasArts, they bought everything. He didn't want to do it anymore, which is fine. I mean, but put in writers, put in, like things that say, "Hey, I'm going to give you liberty to do this, but I have to approve everything."
Yeah.
Because if because you aren't going to do it correctly if I don't.
Hmm. Like that's something that was manifest in the sequel trilogy too, where you had
No,
a director
that was
start.
George Lucas though. He had his foot in that door. That's why it was, although they are not great movies, especially the first one. The second one had
The second one
uh,
was terrible.
no, the second one. So the big
Are you
problem with
talking?
the episode 2.
Oh, you're
So
talking about the prequel trilogy. So the prequel
yes,
trilogy is one, two, and three. The
yes,
main line, which is A New Hope, and
yes,
it's four, five, and six, and the sequel trilogy. We don't talk about that.
yeah. So the first movie for the sequel trilogy, I actually like
It was
because
okay. I mean, I still have issues with Ray being as powerful as she is. Like,
right,
let her grow. Don't start her off on a plateau.
yeah, and I get your point. And I'm not really specifically wanting to get into specifically, not yet, anyways. We'll get into that in a
Yeah,
minute. But I want to talk about the geekdom first, and then we can rant and rave about how Star Wars is effed, if you want.
yeah. Clone Wars is
But
good though.
huh?
Clone Wars is good.
Clone Wars is good. I agree. I've always actually liked that a whole setup.
I think that George Lucas did stuff with them too, didn't he?
Yeah, he had more of a hand in that. He had a
Yeah.
lot of, for some reason, and I don't know why, he had a lot of hands in the newest set that came out. I think that's leading us down a path to maybe an actual movie, if I'm not mistaken, about
Maybe.
what's her name? And now I can't remember the,
Ahsoka.
curly, yeah, yeah, Ahsoka's story.
Hmm.
She had more of a hand in the start of Anakin's life, according to the Clone Wars, his downfall, anyways, than ever previously mentioned.
Rebels too.
Yeah, where she fought him in Rebels, but which almost felt like a cop out.
Yeah, kind of.
Like I didn't particularly care for the Rebels version or the Rebels saga, I guess technically.
It just didn't feel as connected as other stuff.
Right. It was like if you take it out of context from the rest of the stories, like it's not terrible what they have chosen to do there.
Yeah, but we've gotten off on a tangent.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry.
When you have these people who go in there and they're like, and George Lucas is like, okay, so I don't have this IP anymore. I'm old. You got to remember, he was in his late 20s when he made the one in 1977, and it was
Yeah.
years before that he actually started making that movie, right?
Hmm.
So he's old. I don't know how old he is exactly, and I don't Google things while I'm doing this. So, but so he's an older gentleman, and he doesn't want the responsibility anymore. which is his
Yeah.
right. Same reason why um, Han, I can't remember his name now, the actual actor,
Um,
Han Solo,
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, he didn't want anything to do with it anymore for the same reason.
That's why he died.
Uh, no, yes and no. I do believe you're correct. I do believe Harrison Ford's like, man, I will help you out.
But I
I
cannot do
will.
3 movies.
I cannot do 3 more movies. I am 69 years old. I can't do this. Even if I'm just a side character and stuff like that. It's like, I am retired. This is
He's a
just not what I do
cameo.
anymore. I just don't want to do it. And that's perfectly fine. That's his prerogative. That's 100% okay to do, to be that way.
Yeah, it's
And
fine. Yep, you still there?
yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I had no, I guess that's I'll give this to where are you at,
But
dude?
yeah, the issue with Geekdom right now is that they want to make stuff for everybody, which I can agree with. Having more people in the fandom is typically good. However, they're appealing to the very small but very vocal demographic that have nothing to do with it and just want to see their values represented in media that they don't care about.
Yes, to a degree, I agree. So, I think it actually stems from a little bit more. It's actually a little more tainted than that. What it really is Disney is a company,
Yeah.
right? Companies. No, I didn't even have to do that. Go back to where you were. He died in the traps on the way. So they want to make money. Perfectly
Yeah.
viable thing to do because you're a company.
That's
Now,
what you do.
George Lucas wanted to make Star Wars. There's
Hmm.
a massive difference in what's the word I'm looking for? Priorities.
Yeah.
So the biggest difference there being he has a passion for the individual thing, for
Hmm.
the creation of what in the world just happened.
He wasn't as worried about a bottom line and a budget and all that stuff. He just wanted to see his vision.
Right, and that is good. That's a very good thing to have. There's zero wrong with that. There's zero wrong, in my personal opinion, for a company to be saying, hey, I want to make money. Because companies do two things when they make money. They hire more people. They make more movies. The problem is they think that by getting the quote unquote wider audience involved, that they will make more money. Well, the
Yeah.
problem with that is when you do that, you piss off the people who made George Lucas all that money.
Yeah.
And
His
then
big thing was that one big demographic rather than a bunch of little ones.
right. Well, he wants the big demographic. It's not a big demographic. So you think it is because it's Star Wars, or
Yeah.
geekdom in general. They think that hey, all these geeks they love spending money on toys, on this, that, their other,
Yeah, they don't.
video games, this, that, and the other. Yes, they do. But the problem is, you put in $50 billion into the movie
Uh-huh.
and there's only 275,000 humans who want to watch that movie. You're like,
Hmm.
well, when you take $7 each one, you take out this, that, you know what I mean? When it comes down
Yeah.
the money pipe, you're making $2.85 per person at the theater on a movie. Now you get a little bit more when it comes to buying the movie, um,
Some merchandising
merchandising,
things.
things like that. You expand your money intake, but on average, you're looking at $45 to $85, depending on a person's personal motivation for this, per
Yeah.
human being who wants to do that. So you're at 1/4 of the people needed to create enough money to pay for your film and make a profit.
Yeah.
So they look at that and they look at all these numbers and they go, that's not going to work. I can't give you that money and expect to get back plus some what I put into it. That's just not how that's not going to work.
So then they have two options. They either slash the amount of money that goes into it,
Yes.
which usually also slashes the amount of money they get back because less people want to see it.
Eh, True and false.
Or
Take one reason why, if anybody ever still remembers the Blair Witch Project, one reason why that movie was a spectacular, like they started making lots of them, is because they
it was
didn't
cheap.
get the raw numbers on how like the movie cost like $80 to make, or you know what I mean, some ridiculously little amount to make,
I think it was like
but it
2,000
made,
total,
yeah, I don't know how much it was
counting
exactly.
gas. I think.
Yeah, like so it was very very little money made or money put in, but it
So
made millions.
that's a great profit loss
That's a
margin.
huge profit margin. And then they flooded the market with it, and everyone's like, that wasn't
We've
the
already seen it
point.
before.
Yeah, you're literally making the same movie, and they're like, oh well, if we
It
can't
worked
do
once.
that, well let's make another movie that's similar in design. We'll
Hmm.
get the directors from that who seem to be these inspired individuals. We're going to give them a bunch of money. And then you have Cloverfield.
Yeah,
So this movie was given 7, 8 times the budget, or 700 times the budget, and they spent tons of money on it,
and it didn't make a
and then
whole
it
lot back.
flopped. So their big thinking, their big problem is thinking that good movies that people go and watch and see is the same as the monies that are with millions and millions of dollars worth of budget into them.
Yeah. Now there are some outliers like anything in the MCU,
That's
but
not true.
really,
Significantly less was spent on Iron Man 1 than was
hmm
spent on Iron Man 3.
that's also
More money
that's
was,
just sequels
huh?
in general, though. I was talking more of first mainline films, like the Avengers movie spent a lot more money than, say, the Blair Witch Project,
It
and
it did not
had
it
a
did not make the same, it did not make as much as the Blair Witch Project in money.
it
That's
didn't.
what I'm telling you. So it made a good amount of money, but it didn't make nowhere near the exchange.
Yeah,
And
they
that's
spent as much as they got.
yeah, I think the first Avengers movie did make money, and it made quite a bit. Don't misunderstand that the Avengers movie didn't
Yeah.
make money, just not to the same level as Blair Witch Project as far as percentages go.
Hmm.
But and then they made the second Avengers movie, and you add in uh, you know, Mary Sue won and killed her brother.
Hmm.
So you had the Scarlet Witch, um, the overpowered Voltron guy, not the one, not the or Ultron. What's his name? Vision. So
Vision.
you have Scarlet Witch. Yeah, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and I can't remember the speed dude's name.
They said Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. Okay, so Quicksilver. That's those two characters, by the way. Those they aren't playing the right role. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. That's
Yeah.
Magneto's kids.
Hmm.
That's who
That's
they
what they should have gone for.
That's who they originally were. So now there's a big problem in the MCU is that Fox owns X-Men
Yeah,
and Marvel owns everything else but Spider-Man. Spider-Man is owned by Sony.
which is still strange.
No, nobody wanted to make a
Sony.
Spider-Man movie and Sony said, "We'll do it." So Marvel went, "Okay." And that's Spider-Man actually started the MCU into the correct direction. Sony
Yeah,
took a chance. Sony made so much money. And that's when
on
everyone
the
else was like, "Ooh, give me some, give me some, give me some."
ones with Tobey Maguire.
Yes. And I don't care what you say if he was a good this, that, and the other.
He's a
Other
pretty
than
good Spider-Man.
the small period when he was Venom and he was walking down the street, they're actually fairly good movies.
We
Just
don't talk about
we
that.
just delete that particular scene out of our mind because apparently the director was having an aneurysm when he taped that.
Even Spider-Man movies today joke about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Into the Spider-Verse had an entire 30-second scene talking about how terrible that was.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. But uh, in general, hold on, I need to do something real quick. Do I have granite blocks? Yeah, they're up
A-
forever. Nobody's doing them.
Appealing to a broader audience
Is
can
the
be
downfall
effective.
of all of them.
However, yeah, well, it can be effective, but I feel like right now I don't think that they're trying to appeal to a broader audience per se now, like they were previously. Like with the MCU, it kind of, did you notice that after Iron Man 1, superhero movies started popping up left, right, and center? I feel like that kind of opened the floodgates for geekdom to start going into the mainstream.
It
And
did, to a
I feel
degree.
like we've gone too far in that regards and have started going, well, all these people are allowed in and they are allowed to have their opinions and thoughts. Sure, fine. And then we started going, well, we value their opinion more than everybody else's.
Yes, and that was sorry. Thank you for getting me back onto the actual track we started at
Yeah.
here. I appreciate that. We went way off course there. But
Sorry.
yes, you're absolutely right. So what you have is loyal fans who, when Iron Man came out, and they did a absolutely spectacular job of just grasping who Iron Man represented.
They had just the essence, like, and my personal opinion, Robert Downey Jr. is the perfect Iron Man.
Yeah, you actually. So here's one problem, and it's the same problem Wolverine has. So Wolverine. Oh, I got a raid.
Ooh.
Don't you dare. Are these sappers?
But as you're saying, Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, they are to my north. They don't have any choice but to go through there. So I'm good. All right. Yeah. So Wolverine. 100%. Now I'm not gonna remember his name. Uh,
Hugh Jackman,
Hugh Jackman. Thank you. I am terrible with names. Hugh
fantastic
Jackman
actor.
is Wolverine.
Yeah, he embodies Wolverine very well, which is
He did
weird
that. He
because
did
he's
that
so
on
tall.
purpose. Huh?
Hugh Jackman's really tall and Wolverine's really short, so it's still weird
Right.
to me. Because I see him in the comic standing next to like Deadpool, and he's like he could bite his shins.
Right. Yeah. Wolverine in general is, and he's not actually short. So that's a misnomer. Wolverine, because of like you see him in the comics, he's always got his shoulders hunched, and he has
Yeah.
really terrible posture. That's
Hmm.
because
If
his
you were to
body
stand up
is
straight, it'd be
laden with
fine.
metal, and it's heavy. So he
Yeah.
has terrible posture because of this. But
Well, like over time, that probably compresses bones down a little bit too. Thinking about it, he might actually be shorter after having all that pumped into him.
yeah. But so you have the perfect Iron Man and you have the perfect Wolverine,
Hmm.
which you know those of us who experienced it and who get to experience it on DVD and stuff like that, that's great. We love those actors for doing that, and they did an amazing job.
Hmm.
The problem we have is we can't undo it. What I
Yeah, you
mean by
can't.
that, we can't
They're
have
icons.
another Iron Man.
They're icons. You can't like you can't if you replaced Hugh Jackman, just erase them from existence, just snap him out of existence, Thanos him. You who will you find to fill those giant shoes?
You can't. That's the big problem. And then you have Iron Man. So what we have is um, the X Men are trying to figure out. And that's one reason why we haven't seen very good X Men movies. They're doing the first class stuff, which I actually like, except for the last movie,
I
because
don't remember which one that was.
the last movie is technically the
Isn't it?
last movie in the new class is technically the same movie as the last movie in the Phoenix Rising. Those two movies are identical. Like they
I
are the same
didn't watch
movie,
them.
huh?
I didn't watch them.
Oh, anyway, um, so you
I
have
won't make
those.
an opinion on it.
No, that's fine. So you have those two movies, and what they did was you have Hugh Jackman. You can't put him in there. Hugh Jackman is the one who both saves and kills Jean Grey because he
Hmm.
loves her, and he does what he
Yeah.
has to do. But you can't undo you can't undo who played Wolverine. Did a great
Hmm.
job. Grateful that he did it. But you can't have any more X-Men movies because Hugh Jackman won't do it anymore because he's
Yeah,
old. He's like, I can't do it. I can't look like that anymore. If I look like that, I will start to look like Sylvester Stallone, which is a
unrealistic
travesty
beauty
on
standards for
mankind.
men.
Huh?
Unrealistic beauty standards for men exist in media too.
Yes. Right. No, no, I agree with you. But so to do all of this, to take all these worlds, you now have them and you're trying to shove them down people's throats who don't really care, like you were
Hmm.
saying, but they
Yeah.
want their voice heard. That so take what should have been in a really good movie, and it's sad that it wasn't.
Oh no, which one?
Oh, you know who's coming.
I'm expecting
Marvel.
female Ghostbusters.
No.
Miss
No, no,
Oh
no.
no, female
Captain
Ghostbusters was worse in my opinion
Captain
than
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But Captain Marvel was pretty bad.
Captain Marvel was terrible.
They had so much of a good opportunity though. Like
So
it hurts
in
that they
Captain Marvel you
wasted it.
have one, you have no real enemy. You have this,
You
this
have the ethereal, like they're everywhere feeling for a while, and then that gets pulled away, and
yeah. So
it doesn't work.
yeah. So you take her and they put her in a machine. Okay, let's take that particular spot.
Hmm.
Well, now she has to be either rescued or she has to break free.
Yeah,
So this machine is specifically designed, and they tell you this in the movie, to stop her powers from working. But
and
no,
she
no,
does
no.
it anyway.
But she does it
But
anyway. She's like, I am
but
still too powerful for you.
but
Well,
don't you know the
now
power of
you've
being
taken
told?
away something. So
Uh huh.
Iron Man is great because Iron Man gets his butt whooped all the
Yeah,
time in his movies. Like he's always getting his butt whooped. The
they have
uh,
limits.
yeah. So the opening scene of Iron Man, him getting blown up. The end scene, a massive fight where he almost loses, literally wins because Pepper intervenes. It's the
Yep,
only way he wins.
strong female character that MCU ignored.
Yes, absolutely. Pepper is absolutely that.
But that's the thing; she didn't start off strong. That's what made her so good is that she became strong.
Right. So that's the opening and closing scene of Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2. The same exact thing, but with a different enemy,
Hmm.
a slightly different take on it, and a personal reason why he's losing. Not
Yeah.
because, I mean, in all honesty, if he had been like his normal self, he'd have whooped the crap out of all of them to begin with. But he was fighting
Hmm.
with something personal. So that gave him
Yeah.
vulnerability again. So
Yep.
they want to make their superheroes too super. It's the quote unquote Superman complex.
Yeah. Like like that's another problem in like Dragon Ball.
Yes, absolutely. Dragon Ball Z has a very similar problem, but they actually
Hell,
get
there's
around
a
it sometimes. Like,
well, there's actually a big problem that people talk about in Dragon Ball Super. There's two female Saiyans that are introduced, and they beat Goku's ass. Like this dude fights gods, and they kick his ass. Like they can do Super Saiyan 1, and they're beating him. Like this he should be dumpstering them,
right,
but
um,
because they're female, they're winning.
right, and you're absolutely right. Give them a reason why they're winning, and we're fine with it. We're not
Mhm.
we are not objectively against as a whole as a group, and they're like, well, all these people come out on forums and stuff. Well, you just all hate women, and
Yeah.
because they're women is the reason why you don't like these movies.
Hmm.
Wrong. We don't like these movies because you put your fingers in there and take a character who has flaws, has vulnerabilities, has
And make them perfect.
and you make them perfect and unassailable. You can't do
Hmm.
that. You really can't. You can't take and make them unbeatable because then nobody likes the movie for the simple fact that
Yeah.
there's no reason for me to watch it.
There's
From
no
beginning
stakes.
to end of Captain Marvel, I knew how it was going to end. She was going to kick the dude's butt at the beginning of the movie. I knew that the moment the movie started because of
Hmm.
how she interacted with him and how she already started beating him. This is her mentor. Take all the way back.
She's
Revenge of the Sith. Most
yeah.
powerful Jedi ever created. Got his butt whooped because his mentor knew him better. That is why a mentor beats an apprentice because they know them. They know their
Hmm.
flaws. But she just hands down kicks his butt. Starts kicking
Because
his
she
butt at the
has no
beginning
flaws.
because she has no flaws. And that
Well,
makes a
then,
character unrelatable and just not a good not
like
good.
Superman has more flaws than Captain Marvel.
Yeah, he has a flaw as far as his inability to stand up to a green stone, you
I
know?
mean, she had the same problem, but with a purple one. I remember that was my favorite part of Endgame when Thanos punched Captain Marvel so hard she flew out of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Endgame's a different bag of weirdo worms.
Yeah, well, I
There's
mean, and
so
then
much.
that's
Yeah, that's
another thing.
another
That's the
day's talk.
goddamn Power Stone.
Yeah.
You're not fighting against that, and she took a punch from it and lived.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. They're like, and Marvel was like, "See, she's not invincible," and like, "No, she
She
didn't
took one
die.
punch.
She did not die, and therefore she should be dead." The
She
boy
wasn't even
snaps
hurt.
his finger and kills half the universe. Punching her should turn her into a gooey paste,
Hmm.
you know? Now, if it was part of a team, then I could see, like, oh, he was distracted. He only just kind of smacked her a little bit to get her out of the way. That I understand. But no, he just walks up and he socks her. She flies out of the movie.
Well, and then
And,
she was going toe to toe against him with all of the Infinity Stones
yeah,
for a good while before he did that.
exactly.
Like, Captain America held back the glove one time for about 4 seconds, and Thanos was confused because he's like, "Oh man, I should be able to crush him with this much
Exactly.
power," and then just push down a little harder and push him out of the way.
Yep.
Like Captain America wasn't powerful enough to do this, and he's been built up all this time, and like he's human, like her.
Yeah, they're both human, you know? And,
Like,
well, she's human. Yeah, right?
well,
Yeah.
like Scarlet Witch had a similar thing with him where she was like throwing stuff at him and he didn't care. Where that's like Scarlet Witch is powerful, but I don't feel like she's a Mary Sue to the same level
No,
that
and
like
and the
Captain
reason why
Marvel
you
is.
don't feel that to her is
Hmm.
because she has other vulnerabilities. She is very powerful. She can actually, affect the stones due to the specific power she has, which they don't explain at all because they can't because it's part of X-Men and Fox owns X-Men. So you mention Magneto, we will
And you
own that
die.
movie. No, we will own that movie. So the
You
reason
snap
why
their
she is
fingers and
able
half of
to
their
do
tails
that
go away.
is because she can control magnetic and resonance fields. She is
Hmm.
Magneto on steroids. She is very powerful. She has ascended beyond what Magneto did with just magnetic fields and turned it into just the general ability to control atoms and the fact that they have poles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
She's that powerful. That's how she's able to resonate and break and hurt Infinity Stones and things like that. That
Yeah.
is 100% part of her ability. The reason why you don't feel that she is overpowered is because she is a nut job. She is a mess. She is, her watched her brother die. All this stuff. You know what I mean? Like
She's lost
she is a
everything.
mess. And not only that, the girl they picked for that is actually a good actress.
Brie
There's
Larson
another
kind of does
problem.
suck.
Huh?
Brie Larson is not a very good actor.
No, she's
Like
not.
she's better than I would be, but I'm not trying to go out and say I am an actor.
Right. And oh, I'm sorry. I've been sitting here doing nothing this whole time because I'm talking. But no. So the big problem you have is that a dude out there? Uh, you take away the vulnerability, and you take away what makes a character relatable. Her,
Hmm.
being distraught and all around just unpleasant, like or unhappy. That is a viable thing that would happen.
Oh, hello.
Hey
Yeah,
guys.
Oh, you're really quiet.
Okay, well,
Oh, there you
hey,
go.
is that better?
yeah,
Yep.
we are talking
Okay,
about the
I'm
state of geekdom, madam.
the state of what?
Geekdom.
Geekdom, geek nerd culture as a whole,
Yeah,
and really what's happened to it recently with all of the
yeah, just kind of
pandering
going
to
through
people.
some of the reasons why we think, you know, bad things have happened. Like what what things they have done, things like that. And part of the reason why we don't resonate with some of the newer movies, things like that. Like take the
Particularly
Captain
things like
Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Star Wars, the new ones.
It's an attempt to make geekdom mainstream instead of
Well, it's not even
fan base.
it's not even mainstream because they're making less money doing this because
Well,
they're
no,
alienating the core audience.
That doesn't dictate the. Why is there a fire?
Well, it makes it more mainstream, but it actually hurts the company. Like those new Marvel characters that came out actually were like I think it halved comic book sales, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I know that there was a significant drop after they were announced, but I don't remember to what degree. But
Right, this dude's running
they,
off.
I don't understand. We have changed everything for the 4 people in the back that said they wanted it changed, and now the thousands of people aren't buying it anymore. That's what they're doing. How could this happen?
Yeah. No, I get you.
It must be all those white men that we told it wasn't for them. How dare they affect our sales?
No, that's not like I get your point, but that may not be exactly what their mind thought was.
Well, yeah, but well, that's what it was with the female Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
They said,
in a way.
"Sorry, man, this movie's not for you." And they're like, "Why are you not coming to see the movie?"
Well, no, I don't think necessarily. I think it had a lot of promise, but the characters just didn't gel for me. Like they didn't have that easy chemistry and all that. And it just wasn't an enjoyable movie to watch.
It wasn't Bill Murray.
Yeah,
Well,
you can't redo something that was Bill Murray and expect it to be good. It's Bill Murray.
Yeah. So here's the problem I saw with that particular movie. One of the actresses in it understood and researched her role.
Yeah.
The others went in there knowing that nobody's going to tell them anything.
Because they're the ones in charge. They're the comedians. They make the jokes.
Right. But the main point is, or what I'm trying to say is, they didn't feel like they had to work for it. What's her name? I cannot remember her name now, though.
I don't remember any of their names. That's another problem. They're not memorable.
Well,
I didn't
she
know
is. She's been in
any of
lots
these
of movies.
people.
She's a good actress. She is funny. The bigger girl.
Oh gracious! Yes, I know who you're talking about. She is really funny. She's been in
she
several
is good,
things.
and she is
I don't remember her
in
name.
general, she is the one that I liked, and she's also the one that. Hold on, I got all sorts of notifications over here.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yes.
Yes, she
Yeah,
is
that's
really
the
funny.
reason why I have
Yeah,
a hard
okay.
time remembering her name is because I think of her and I think of Jenny McCarthy, and the images don't match up, and my brain doesn't want to grab onto one or the other.
You have a cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, with that. Yeah, that one messes with my brains. What is this? Hi, Stir Large, blah 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 blah. Is requesting a favor. His friend blah 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 is interested in learning about other cultures, and he wants to host him for 23 days. You must keep his mood above 40%. Yeah, I'm just gonna not do that.
Hey, Jenny McCarthy is her cousin. I just wikied her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That might
now
be
I
what's messing with
can.
your
Now
name.
I probably won't. So there's Jenny McCarthy and Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember her name. I knew her from other stuff. I just didn't remember her name.
Yeah.
Totally knew her from Gilmore Girls and Don't Lie, boy.
I did. I liked Gilmore Girls, but only for a little bit.
All right. So we've gotten a little off track. So real quick, let's sum up. We can go into some other things and maybe here in a little bit. But as far as geekdom goes, they need to stop trying to go for the wider audience. Pull it back. Marvel, Disney, everybody else, pull it back. Because if you don't, the franchise in general will just collapse. And that's not good for any of us. Unless Disney decides to sell off all of the Marvel stuff to Fox, which would be a godsend. And while they're at it, the WB, please sell somebody Batman. Please. Sell it now. Stop making the movies. You suck. You suck, you suck, you suck.
Feels like there's a
Stop.
little bit of a
Aquaman was okay.
personal here.
Well, no, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman are okay, but that's because
Joker was good.
did you watch Joker?
I did not. It's slow.
Okay, it is. Yeah, it is mind-numbingly slow, guys. Like,
But it is
oh,
good,
like
but it's not what
I
you're
can't.
really there for.
So
It's not what
I
you're there
understand the
for.
purpose of the movie. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But that again, you're now this one I don't think they were shooting for the wider audience, but I think they shot too niche.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch someone's slow descent into madness.
It was a
There is
character
a
study when it needed to be an action movie, or at
No,
least
no,
a
no, 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 no,
thriller.
no, no. We can have character study without it being an action movie. Like it doesn't have to be 100% action all the time.
they tried to do both,
No, they
like
didn't.
a
No,
strange semblance
they
of like
tried
it felt
to
like
give him reason to be insane.
it felt
And
like standing outside of an action movie, like all of the riots later in the movie and everything going on. It felt like we were on the sidelines of an action movie going on. It pointed away from it.
yes. Now, Joaquin Phoenix did an absolutely fantastic job. When they cast the next Joker for the next Batman reboot,
They need him.
somebody goes outside and takes well, what's his name? Who's playing Batman right now?
I don't remember. Is it not Christian Bale?
No.
That he's always Batman in my heart.
Yes,
Christian Bale did an amazing job.
yes,
He set the bar
agreed.
too high. This
He
goes
did.
back to the
He is Batman.
if you remember
The icon problem.
the icon problem. You made an icon. You can't go back.
Mhm.
You can reboot, and that's fine. Batman's been rebooted 5 times now, I think. But
Probably.
you don't. It's not It's not Goodwill Hunting. Who are the people from Goodwill Hunting?
I don't remember.
Dogma. Lady, I'm talking to you. He doesn't know. He's a baby.
He is a baby.
I am. I'm a small baby. But
Who's
it's like a
whoever? Okay, the guy who's playing Batman now, who did it for the, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, whatever you want to call what they did.
I've not seen that in forever.
Yeah, but that's
I've not
not
even
exactly
heard that
what I'm
mentioned
talking
in
about.
forever.
Huh?
I've not even heard Aqua Teen Hunger Force mentioned in forever.
Yeah, that's fine. No, what I'm getting at, the guy who's playing Batman right now, they need to take him outside, take an effigy of him, and burn it. And look at him in the face and say, if you don't stop and relinquish your position in this movie right this second, that's going to actually be you.
Mhm.
And then walk away from his house. That's what we should riot about. Because he is a horrendous Batman. He is not good at it at all. He is
Yeah,
an
he doesn't
okay
have
Bruce Wayne, but that's it. And Bruce Wayne is a act that he puts on. That is not the person that you are
Batman
supposed
is
to.
the real man.
No,
You
it's
could
not
actually-
no, Bruce Wayne is Batman, right?
You could
Bruce Wayne is one person. Who Bruce Wayne plays to be to keep his cover, that's the person that why can I remember? The guy is good at playing. Other
They're
than
gonna
that,
put Robert Pattinson as the Batman.
what?
Robert Pattinson?
Yes,
Kind of weird.
That's not who.
that's the next one.
Oh, so he did relinquish.
I think so. But
Ben
you could
Affleck.
actually probably
Ben
have
Affleck.
a,
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, Ben Affleck was terrible, absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But so they
Because
chose
he did
Ben
such a spectacular job as Daredevil, then they decided to make him Batman, right?
Yeah, he took Daredevil and buried that one. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Daredevil's not my favorite superhero, but he actually has a good story. And if you want to watch a good Daredevil, go to Netflix because that's a good Daredevil.
Mm-hmm. But back to the icon problem that we were talking about.
No.
That's something
So the geekdom. We were talking about the geekdom. I
Yeah.
keep getting off track here.
That is a problem in GEEKTOM now, is the icon issue.
Well, no, but that is not a problem in the way that I see it. Not in the same way that you're talking about. It's not a problem. It sucks, but it is not a problem with geekdom. The problem with geekdom currently is that people, they want you to accept what they're shoving down your throat. They
Yeah.
make the movie, you're supposed to like it. It's
Mhm.
not that, hey, here's a movie, let's make it so that the people like it. That is the biggest problem with Marvel, Star Wars, all of those. The only person who escapes this is Peter Jackson. He's the only person who escapes from the geekdom problem. And that's
Except
because,
for adding in random female warrior elves. Come on. He added characters into his movie to get chicks in there.
now, he added what she did. She is an actual character from the
Yeah.
book that the little dwarf gets a crush on. The problem is that it never happened. They didn't fall in love. That's the part that I didn't like about it. He did give her the rune, and she took it,
headcanon.
and then he did promptly die before anything happened. But she kind of vanishes from the thing. She appears again in the Battle of the Five Armies. She is there, but they in no way have any interaction after the being in the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
That was his own personal take on that. And that's, yes, that was a little bit stupid. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But then again, the overly exaggerated Guinevere and Aragon part of the story, that didn't exist either. He's just a guy who wants a little bit of romance in these, and that's his personal take on it. And he's said this several times over. He's like, it's
Yeah.
not about, in that particular case, he's like, that wasn't about, that was just something that I think. That was my personal ad. And I have been given license by the family to add my own personal touches. As long as they approve it. And that is the key. The son of J.R.R. Tolkien has to approve everything Peter Jackson does.
Yeah.
He does not have free reign. And that is one reason why that movie, that set of movies, has never been that terrible.
See, now there are outliers when it comes to the creative control problems, like J.K. Rowling.
Well, that's not a creative control problem. That's
I want to remain relevant problem.
That's a
An Arwen romance, though, was a thing, in the books, but it just wasn't as big of a part of a story as the movie made it out to be. It was like a
literally
side
like
thing.
a cliff note. Yes, those two are in love, and then nothing.
Yeah, because they didn't need that. They were in love. It wasn't like some big overblown thing. And even like
But
Eowyn, her romance was really a sweet and gentle and just kind of a afterthought type thing too.
What's that? Say that part again. I think I missed you.
Eowyn, her romance at the end.
No, that was not an afterthought. That is one part where I think he should have focused on that.
And Faramir? Because that was really
that
sweet
was actually in the books. And
yeah,
they talked about how he fell in love with her at first sight. All the things Peter Jackson wants.
And he romanced her.
And he didn't really romance her. She romanced him, which is what made it awesome.
No, in the books, he was kind and waited for her. She was the one that took forever.
No. In the books, now she wanted him, she made him woo her.
Yeah.
But in the books, it talks about him falling in love at first sight and how she, when she helped him recover from his injuries and everything like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? She had that very nurturing role in that, which was amazing.
Well, she went from a warrior and then she just completely turned around and became a healer.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say like just became. That happened because she watched Aragon. She fell in love with Aragon.
The concept of Aragorn. She fell in love with the idea of him.
Right.
She didn't know him as a human being. Faramir, she actually learned to love as a human being.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and then what is a healer but a warrior who protects from the aftermath of the injuries rather than preventing injuries entirely?
I agree with you there.
Yeah. It's just another type of, it's another type of warrior, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a spiritual warrior in a sense.
because
Mhm.
healing is just as important.
Medical warrior. That doesn't fit as well as spiritual warrior.
I know. That's why I said spiritual.
But
But
oh, I
so
had a
Peter Jackson's films are an outlier.
yeah.
Okay. And the reason why is because creative control was at least kept in check
Mhm.
to a degree. You know what I mean? He was
You've
given
got to
some
stay
Because
loyal to
freedoms.
the source material.
the
Right.
original intent was preserved.
Like you can't just flip the script and change everything a movie later.
Now
Ryan Johnson.
you can, but you have to do it in a certain way.
You have to make it make sense.
Yeah. If
Absolutely.
Cough,
now
cough, Ryan Johnson, cough, cough.
Now, what are you talking about there? I remember I'm
Ryan
terrible with
Johnson.
names.
Ryan Johnson was the director who did The Last Jedi. He took what J.J. Abrams was doing and kind of smashed it to pieces,
Right.
and that's why
And
nothing made sense.
yes. So that is. Oh, what is that?
That's another problem of creative
Shoot
control.
frenzy.
Is that J.J.
Oh.
Abrams was trying to remain loyal to source material. I mean, he wasn't as loyal as I would have liked him to be.
Now the problem with what happened there is J.J. Abrams was going to keep it correct because unless you are living in a box somewhere,
Mhm.
um, the girl is actually supposed to be Skywalker, and he fixed
Yeah.
it at the very end. That is not Palpatine's daughter in
Yeah.
the lore. That is Luke's daughter.
Mm-hmm. It makes more sense that way.
Yes, it does.
Like, it. Okay, how old was Luke when
Hmm?
Palpatine was still alive? He was in his like what, early to
Teens.
mid
16.
20s,
16 when he did all that.
16.
Yes.
Dang.
Yeah, he was
Then
a teenager.
yeah. Then how
Now,
old is he now? Like in the
when
sequel
he
trilogy, he's
died,
like
I think according to the books, or
when he
he's
died
not supposed
in
to
the
be dead.
movies.
First of all,
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
no. So if anybody's read a lot of the novels, I'm sure they have more knowledge than me. I've only read cliff notes here and there because
Hmm.
it bothered me that that happened. From my understanding, Luke Skywalker is supposed to be our next enemy, or he was. So you had these three where you recovered Luke Skywalker. You found the new kids. There's supposed to be two, by the way, two siblings, not just one. There's supposed
Yeah,
to be
they're
a boy and a
twins.
girl, twins.
Balance.
Yeah, it's the whole boy girl twin
Balance.
thing again.
Yeah, it was a twins thing. It runs in the family, so or whatever.
I mean,
They're
that
supposed
does
to be
technically
twins,
genetically
right?
in
So
real
they're
life.
supposed to be twins, and they're supposed to be psychically linked, and all this, that, and the other. And they get uh, the whole Ben thing happens. Ben Solo happens, but
Hmm.
his outlash of power has a severe something happens to his mind. It like breaks his mind, and the two kids were still there at the training camp with everybody else, and his mind breaks and he runs off. And during
Hmm.
this time, he can't figure everything out, and the person in charge, instead of Snoke, which you never really like, you never were supposed to meet this individual, Snoke.
Yeah, he's not
That was
supposed to
supposed to
really
be Luke
exist.
Skywalker.
Hmm.
And the children were there to rescue him, and they had to fight Ben to make it in there and help him. Ben knowing who or not knowing that Snoke is actually Luke.
Hmm.
That's my understanding of what I have read.
But, like, that's there's another problem with the like Return to the Jedi and things like that, or not Return to the Jedi, The Last Jedi. Why would I conflate that with a better movie? They they pushed political stuff in that too, like pretty badly.
Like, what are
When you
you
look
talking
back on
about
it,
exactly?
in The Last Jedi, they had like robes. Can you name me one useful thing that Rose did? She was only there to talk about politics in that in the casino scene that lasted for entirely too long, to
The
talk about
casino
how
scene.
you
Yeah.
fight
Go.
wars, and to be a quote unquote strong female who didn't do anything
So
except talk.
she was a so having like tried to analyze that movie a little bit on my own.
Hmm.
I came to the conclusion that that girl was there because he ran into a wall.
How am I going to get them to learn about these things?
Exactly. He didn't know how to make the movie work. He's like, I just
Expository
tell a
character,
story.
go.
So he's like, well, they're tracking them through space. You can't track through there. It says in like 50% of the lore, you can't track people
You
through.
cannot track people through
Yeah,
hyperspeed.
yeah, you can't track people through hyperspace.
Then a
You're literally
plot
traveling through
point
wormholes. He's like,
forever.
no, 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 no. We're gonna get rid of that. Okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Fuel. We need
so
fuel.
yeah.
When do we need fuel? Today.
So we're gonna have them track them through hyperspace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So sure, new technology. You know, as he's talking to all the other yes men sitting around him, new technology. They figured out how to do it. They're like, oh, okay. And he's like, so how do we make that work? He's like, and they all stare at him blankly and say, I don't know, sir.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, as far as the lore is concerned, you can't do this. And he's like, so he sits there and he thinks about it. He's like, okay, so they have new technology. That's fine. And they're all like, oh, okay, yeah. And then they're like, well, how do we get around that for them to win? Because this is a Star Wars movie, and it's basically a spaghetti western in space.
Mm-hmm.
So the good guy has to win in the end.
Well, I mean,
He's like, well,
they can be set back temporarily. Thinking about it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like, they didn't win in the second movie. And that might have been something that they could have said too. They're like, well, in the first series, they didn't win. They just got their butts whooped.
Mm-hmm. And they came back later.
Yeah. Came back and worked later on.
Tactical retreat.
Right. And so I mean, Rebecca, what do you think? How do you think that all developed out?
Yeah, the idea of we're stuck and we don't have a workaround, so we need a character of convenience.
Yes, is that not what it felt like?
Well, she's not fleshed out. She's unfortunately not all that interesting of a character, and she had so much potential. They could have
Mm.
made her very
They
interesting.
they kind of pigeonholed her, in my opinion, with her only character development being, oh, family member died. And that was it.
Yeah, they didn't develop her, and they could have and made her, a better character. It just wasn't.
Well, and then they tried to market her as a strong female, and she was big on female empowerment.
She spent the most of the time freaking out and panicked, which, hey, look, I would too in that kind of
Yeah, I mean
situation.
that
That's a
strong
realistic.
does not equate to not panicking in every sense,
Exactly.
but she didn't do anything.
Yeah, she furthered a few plot points, but and it's sad because they didn't give her the character an opportunity to do anything that was memorable or interesting.
So, that's
Cat?
actually a very good perspective. So, movies have this thing in them
Mm-hmm.
where you have this amount of time to make a movie.
Yeah.
So you take this character and so you have your whole storyboard, right? And you're like, okay, so I want to get from point A where, you know, they're being chased. Bad things are happening. They're fighting a war that they're losing, and they're trying to escape.
Mm-hmm.
The second movie, And at the end, I want them to all get away, and for some reason, Sparkly Foxes save them. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
don't, yeah,
That
yeah,
hurt
Sparkly
my
Foxes,
soul.
yeah, Salt Foxes. Okay, sure, because that works. Whatever you were on, please spread it around, because apparently it was some good shit.
Ketamine, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
nice.
Um, but yeah, so he's like, okay, so I take this girl, she's dropping bombs. She has this medallion she holds for strength, because it bonds her to her sister. So he's got
Hmm.
this whole character that he has through the whole movie. And she takes up 35 minutes in the whole
Hmm.
movie, right? And they're like, well, we need to cut 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So they start cutting stuff. And they're like, well, here's the point where we actually introduce the, the girl, where she first meets Fen, or Fids, or whatever his name is. He's not memorable either. Yeah,
Finn.
whatever. Huh?
Finn.
He
Yeah.
had
Finn. Yeah, sure.
potential that they never went with because Ray was too powerful.
Right. So Finn.
Yeah, he's another character that could have been developed way further. He had actually a really fascinating backstory. He did a lot of really good things, but it's like he was an afterthought and just glossed over
Well, and
because
then he was needed in the first movie because they needed to get Ray into stuff and out of stuff. But then they didn't need that anymore because she's too powerful now.
Yeah.
As soon as she started
And
using the Force, she became a god and didn't need him.
yeah, ditched everybody.
no,
Like
you're
that's another. It's not enough character development all around, causing problems for everybody. Because when you don't develop one character and make them too powerful, nobody likes them. But then you also have an issue where you can't develop these characters because it'll make everything else too powerful and one-sided.
With Finn, like he showed vulnerability,
Hmm.
he showed strength of character. He had all of the things that were necessary, but they just didn't take it anywhere,
Hmm.
and they could have, and they
Well,
should,
then
because he was a good actor. Actually, I felt sorry for him.
John
I
Boyega,
empathized with him. Yeah,
he's a pretty good actor.
I
I've not
I,
seen
li-
him in a whole lot though.
I liked him. I thought he was very relatable.
he
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 did
was
feel
not
fairly
terrible.
relatable.
I agree. He was not a terrible character.
No,
I feel
it
like
just he
the
didn't go anywhere. It's like they got him
yeah
to this point, and we're like, this is great. What's Finn gonna do next? Absolutely nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
He's gonna ride a giant emu looking thing, emu horse looking breed, and that's it.
You know.
No, and I agree. One problem. So you take Finn, and he's not that great at this, right?
Hmm.
He's just sucks. But he has a vulnerability to him. His opening scene is him literally being traumatized.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they do nothing with it.
And yeah, they don't take that anywhere. Next like 3 scenes, he's beating the crap out of everybody around him. And it's like, oh, well, I see you've gotten over your PTSD.
Like he's just like
That's not how that
he
works.
blasts stormtroopers with no regard. He doesn't
Yeah,
have
he's
like
like,
the
my
I
brother
was
died.
there.
I'm gonna shoot every single brother I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just a part of movieing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you know how they could have changed that to make it like, and even make somebody comment on it in the film, just to give it an idea. And they're like, you keep shooting them in the knees. Why? Just as a for instance. And he's like, because I
Yeah.
don't want to kill them.
Why
Because
do
I
you shoot
don't like killing
a
people.
wound?
As I said, keeping him consistent with the very first part of the movie, that is what he said. He didn't like killing people.
Hmm.
So by doing this, you've now solidified what he does. You have a reason for what is happening. It sums it all up, and it allows him to be a moral character, putting forth a specific judgment in the area. Like when you could even have him get in conflict with the pilot guy, who is all
Yeah.
gung ho for killing stormtroopers, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Poe.
Well,
where
then
they talk
that
to each
ties.
other,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey,
Well,
and they get into it, like, not a fight, but like it's they've each got each other's by the jacket or something like that, and they're kind of pissed at each other, yelling at each other, and then they storm off. Well, now you have
mhm.
a divide And now you have a reason, more so than you did before, for them to go to the planet. Because
Yeah,
now he's got his girly friend who agrees with him, who, if we had seen her earlier in the movie, we now understand. Because they've been on that ship together for months, supposedly. You know what I mean? So
but
they
they're running out of
interacted with
fuel.
each other. It's maybe a big ship, but so now you have two people who are in love. Expand on that story a little, but don't focus on it. Then you're like,
Yeah.
those two are pissed at each other. Ray and the space pilot guy go over here because they agree that stormtroopers need to die, and these two don't. They go down to the planet to help where they can, separate each other.
Yeah.
Now you have a reason why they split up. Not because
Mhm.
Finn's trying to run away. What?
Yeah. Well, and then like
You've taken a
that ties.
character and now you've made him a wuss.
Yeah, well, that ties back to another like the core issue in geekdom where like, and it used to just be for a while there. It used to only be white men because they're the you have to be honest. We are the pumpkin spice latte of America. We're everywhere.
You the basic white girl?
Yeah. Although I guess we'd be the basic white men. But and then you throw in today's culture where it's like anybody that's not straight white and male has something going for them where they're better or anything else or they're oppressed in some way. Like you could take any group and do that. And they do that too much with a lot of characters where they take them and they make them above everybody else for that reason because they are like for Rey it was because she was female, for instance, which
Right.
ties back to the feminist movement, which in my opinion has lost the plot and doesn't stand for what they are saying they are now. Before
Oh,
anybody
there are
starts
feminist
hating on
movements
everybody,
out there that actually mean that.
yeah,
Don't
they
get me
actually seek
don't say
change.
that the feminist movement's dead because it's not. There are
Oh
many
no,
women
just
out there, including
many
your own
here.
mother, in my personal opinion, honey,
Yes.
Thank
that
you.
yeah, that actually want women to be respected.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
equality is and that's it's not an ideal to aspire to. It's just something that needs to happen. There
Yeah.
are a
Well,
lot of attitudes out there that are
it
really outdated. Like, oh, well, you can't do that because you're a chick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, watch me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
But I
so
feel like
their
they
big
go
thing is
overboard with that.
yeah.
Well, there comes a point where it's no longer feminism because the whole point of feminism is that we just would like to be respected as the same human beings as you would respect anybody else.
Yeah.
That
I,
to me, that's what feminism is. Now, when you're like, well, you know what, we're better than everybody else. It's like, oh no, you've missed the entire point, and you're reversing it and trying to make everybody less than you.
And
And
that's the
that's,
problem is it's a vocal minority.
yeah,
but
and I agree with you there, Nate. That
it's it's
go on.
kind of the same thing that you get in with different faiths because
Mm-hmm.
there are certain people out there who call themselves a church, but are spewing hatred and violence and horribleness. Everybody that else is in a church also gets painted with the same brush,
Yeah.
and that's massively unfair. So, I mean, obviously, feminism and faith and all that means it's completely something different to everybody. But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not a word that you can use in a negative manner because then that kind of defeats the purpose of feminism. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
Yes, that
It's just
absolutely makes sense.
many and I know it's the vocal minority, but they seem to be gaining more and more popularity because their messages are getting bolstered by political candidates and people in media, like for instance, everybody in geekdom.
Not everybody.
Well, not everybody, but a very large portion of the people who make these movies and these various media things have been doing this. Like you in Endgame, there was the female power empowerment scene where they all stood together and like we're not men, we can defeat you. And only like three characters there I actually remembered. That was like Scarlet Witch and Pepper, and I had her name and I'm missing it now.
Who?
I don't remember. The Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
She is absolutely a great one. She
Mhm.
is a very powerful woman, but she doesn't do it in a terrible way.
She's not excessively powerful.
Well,
They
no,
have strengths
it's
and they have
not that.
weaknesses.
She still she maintains everything that she is. This goes back to the thing that I was trying to explain to you.
Hmm.
Superheroes are only good when they're flawed. She has a flaw. She wanted to be Ant-Man. She did not like being waysided by her father, who was being overprotective,
Hmm.
because he caused not the death, I guess, the loss of her mother. She wasn't technically dead.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but so they go through all
Hmm.
this, and this whole time she has this thing hanging over her head, and you can see it when she's literally punching him in the face. She's not
Yeah.
punching him. She's not trying to be mean to him. She is making a point.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean? She is
mhm.
doing. She is vulnerable. Not vulnerable. Vulnerable isn't the right word. She is ticked off. And
She has
dude's face
emotional.
is, yeah, but it's not overly emotional. She has
Yeah.
every right to feel that way. She's being ignored.
She's been minimalized.
It's an emotional
Yes,
vulnerability that an enemy can exploit. That's what I meant to say. It is a vulnerability. It's not a physical one. And emotional vulnerabilities are just as damaging, if not more, than physical vulnerabilities.
that's what makes Batman even accessible. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what makes him a good, uh, what do you call him? The anti-hero.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
personally aspire, like, when I look at my superheroes, the ones I like, they're always the
Hmm.
anti-heroes. I like
Yep.
Punisher, Deadpool,
Deadpool.
Batman, you know, Wolverine. He's another anti-hero. People don't like to think of him that way, but he is. He's an
He is.
anti-hero.
Yeah. He just
You
kind
know,
of lines up with the good people every so often.
yeah, but he is so I've always drifted towards the anti-heroes. That's
Hmm.
just that is who I make a connection with in the Marvel universe. And
Yeah.
so one problem we have with Deadpool is I am afraid, extremely afraid of the third movie, because there are people with their hands in Deadpool now. They're like, "Hey, we're going to give you a lot of money, but you got to do what we tell you to."
Hmm.
And although he pretends to be a certain way, I know, like, in regards to how he wants to play with people, so that, and I'm specifically speaking about the actor who plays Deadpool,
Ryan
is
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds.
I
He
love
is
him.
a little more conservative than most people give him credit for in
Yeah.
his, thinking overall. And by being that way, by being a little more conservative and things like that, it allows him to, when he's making a movie, he just leaves the political out of it. That's the
Yeah.
thing he keeps doing. And that's a good thing. And
And
yes,
that's
I
how it
know that
should be.
sounded like Martha Stewart, Adam, before you say anything. What,
Hey.
what is that? What's going on?
What?
I don't
You
know.
moving a mic?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was really loud.
Me?
Um,
I think so. Were you moving your headset?
Yeah, I'm on the wired one right now. The other one died,
oh,
and the the charging cable that was in here is no more.
what do you mean?
It's
You
sitting where
moved
your
it.
vape was.
Ah, yes. I meant to plug
Yes.
that back in.
It's
Sorry.
okay.
I'll go get it momentarily.
Yeah. But no. So by being, like, what in the heck? Why have they not hauled these? Um, by them putting their fingers in, we start back at that geekdom's in danger thing. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
Because and then they're going to start pushing their political stuff. And
Yeah.
if Ryan Reynolds is smart, he will say, "Hey," because he is, again, like we have talked about several times during here, he has created a perfect
And
Deadpool.
he's an
Nobody else
icon.
gets to, yeah, he becomes
Yeah.
the icon. Nobody else can be Deadpool. It can't happen.
Yeah, that's like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what we
she
were
missed
actually
that
talking about.
earlier. Yeah, we've talked
Robert
about that
Downey
too.
Jr. and Iron Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just made that character. That was
exactly.
Robert
Oh,
Downey
why is
Jr.
all my power? Oh, solar flare.
But
Boo.
that's a problem because then you can't replace those characters. Now it doesn't matter for Iron Man because
Well, it
he's
also,
dead.
as
But
actors, it also pigeonholes them, especially if they're new to the scene.
like Daniel Radcliffe, I see him in anything, and I cannot think of anything but Harry Potter.
You know what? He went from like Harry Potter straight to Equus, which was an interesting choice. And I get that that's what he was going for was,
To break that image, but it doesn't work. He was that he was that character for so long that you're not escaping it.
yeah.
And then that's one problem that Geekdom has now is they're trying to say, oh well, what if Iron Man was a woman? Like, well, don't change an existing hero, make a new one. Instead of having to change a character entirely and make them a strong female character, make them a regular female character that becomes strong and has their own identity.
Yes. I
And
agree with you there.
and that's another problem with Mary Sue's is it does a disservice to many of these characters because you'll see them and go, oh, they're powerful because of this. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I want to
No, I
see
get
their
you.
growth. That's why shows like My Hero Academia do very well in my regard, or in my opinion, because you see them start out and they grow. Now, granted,
Yes.
that's anime and it's a little different, but
Yeah.
And you
But
that's a different medium too.
you have more time.
Well, it's not actually time. So when you take a so anime is one of those weird outliers of uh, geekdom, where it's still seen by many as this thing that isn't okay.
Yeah.
So
And
they're like,
there
oh,
are
if you
definitely
watch,
some.
just because
with the
people get
exception of a
anime
few.
and hentai completely confused, and they assume
I,
it's all hentai.
Right.
well, that depends. There are scenes
Yeah,
and
but I'm
shows that
saying
do
people
exist that should not exist.
associate
And,
associate all anime with, oh well, it's some perverted sex thing,
yeah.
when
Well, like you
that's
can't tell deeper stories. Like it's what they think.
yeah, that it's all boobs and uh giant swords, which
To
there
be
are.
fair,
Yeah,
that's
there's
what a
boobs and
lot of
giant
it
swords.
is. But like, and there's that kind of aspect to it, and then there's like the Berserk CGI remake or CGI adaptation, but we don't talk about that.
The what?
The Berserk CGI.
No, you know what?
Between,
So
it's
here's the
terrible.
thing.
It's so bad.
I don't care for it. I am I will go into it, like, that'll be another day. I will talk a lot about Berserk because Berserk is close to my heart. It is the first anime I saw in
Mhm.
my entire life, and it is absolutely amazing in what it does. It's the only manga, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care at this point. That I've ever read to its entirety. I am now behind again because I just don't have that much time.
It's like One Piece. You're never gonna catch up
Well,
if you
that's
start
not
now.
true. Berserk goes way slower than One Piece.
I don't know.
So
They're up to like 1,300 episodes of One Piece.
yeah, I know. Berserk is way slower than that. It is massively slower. I don't even think they're that far. Is like 1,000. I don't even think they have that many, um, like in total, like things.
But the episodes that they have for One Piece are a lot of information from the manga.
Right. Yeah.
Like
The manga from One Piece goes really fast. If you
you
they
can,
keep churning it
can chew
out.
it through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can chew
They
through it.
yeah, they go through the manga way fast. Like they keep spitting it out. Berserk
Berserk
isn't
takes a
that way.
while.
Yeah, Berserk is a much longer process.
Like
Or
My Hero Academia season 5, please,
yeah,
Spoilers. I
or
still have to get
JoJo's
caught up.
Bizarre Adventure. I I need the next part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I just don't have the time to invest into another fandom. I've got to get some of my stuff done first, and I've got that book that's been waiting for me, dude. You got to start the new Dresden book.
I know.
oh, have you already started it? I
I
don't know
start,
anything about that. Dresden is their thing, and if anybody watches this or leaves a comment or anything like that, and you guys want to talk about that sometime, let us know. Ooh, Firestorm, that's always fun.
But yeah, back to the what we were talking about. The Mary Sue characters do a disservice to the characters because you view them differently because of how powerful they are. And you can do this, right? You can make a Mary Sue, like All Might would be a Gary Stu. He's all powerful. He annihilates anything that he comes into contact with, but he has a limit.
Yeah, he has a limit. So the biggest problem they have is they think so they don't listen. They don't listen to their fans. They don't listen to anybody for that matter. If we want to get technical here, they just don't care. Right?
Yeah.
I need a new storage area. So, it looks like this is going to be my hallway to a new storage area. I'm going to do that and call it a day. But yeah, so you can't create a unstoppable character. Take One Punch Man. That's the perfect example. I'm not the first one to use that example in other things, but One Punch Man has this thing. He is unstoppable because he did push-ups and sit-ups every day. It's a joke.
And a little bit of running.
Oh, yes, he ran for 15 minutes a day. Yeah, not my point. The point is he is a way overpowered character that has basically no weaknesses and no flaws. But they took his overpoweredness and they turned it into its own flaw in the end. His flaw is he's
he can't
bored.
Get popular.
He is bored. And then he gets an apprentice. The apprentice has many flaws. He gets his butt whooped all the time and has to be rescued every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. It's like, did you hear? There's actually a One Punch Man video game that came out, and you don't play as Saitama.
No, you can't.
But all the matchups where you're one character fighting against the villain have a time limit, and that's just when Saitama gets there.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Because once he gets there, it's over.
Yeah.
That's one. I was rewatching One Punch Man fairly recently, and a lot of the fights he doesn't contribute at all until very late in the fight. He's usually not there, or he's doing something else, and that's usually his flaw. He's so mundane that he is too far away or preoccupied with something boring that he can't help everybody else.
Right.
And it works.
No, yeah, it works for the simple fact that it takes a flawless character and gives him a strange flaw. Mm-hmm. And then it gives you a character that you can relate to with the Cyborg Man.
Yeah.
The guy with more of a story.
It's like, I know I'm the only one in the chat right now that has watched or read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but they have a very interesting power setup in which your subconscious and your fighting spirit dictate what kind of power you get. And there are some wacky ones. One is, a lot of them are punching really hard. One can turn things into other things. One of them is literally a power pole, like a power line pole, that when you step inside of it, you can't step out, otherwise you start turning to metal. And that's a great way to prevent Mary Sue characters, because you make somebody so powerful, but instead of making it just an all-out power battle, it's a puzzle. Every fight is a puzzle. What's their weakness? How can I use this to my advantage? There are female characters that would be nigh on unstoppable if they just are fast enough and smart enough. There's one female character later on whose hair is her weapon. And there's definitely a sexist joke somewhere in that. But she was a huge opponent because they couldn't stop her. They couldn't figure out a weakness to her. It turned out to just be fire, which, is usually most weaknesses to enemies in the first place. Which is why they didn't think of it, because it was too simple. But giving people flaws is super important.
Yeah.
And Hirohiko Araki got that down to a science.
Huh?
Hirohiko Araki, the author for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, got that down to a science, where literally everything has a flaw. and it can be exploited.
Yeah. What do you think, madam?
Oh, it's after midnight and I'm trying to stay awake.
Oh, you don't have to. You can head off if you need to. I just wanted your opinion on it, the Mary Sue problem. Like, as far as making them infallible, why do you think that doesn't resonate with women? Because women watch many superhero movies too, and they resonate with the people in those movies.
Well,
So,
we want to see the struggle. That's the thing. If you're just all powerful and great and perfect and all that, you're not relatable in any form or fashion.
And it's hard to believe the struggle that they talk about beforehand.
You have to emotionally connect with a character in some way. You know, whether
Mhm.
they're just like Wolverine is very all powerful, but he's funny as freak.
He's
You know,
funny, and he does have a
he
counter.
yeah, he has a lot of emotional issues, and I mean he has not a fallible side, but he's like a slightly flawed character.
Yeah, they don't need to be big flaws.
Exactly. But if they're just perfect, 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 it's too Stepford Wives. Nobody likes that. They want to
Yeah.
see a little bit of, at least a little struggle. You know,
Hmm.
empathy goes a long way. Some of these characters are they're unlikable, just flat out. I just don't connect with them in any way, and I don't care what happens to them.
Because they conflate people being strong with people being mean for some reason. And I don't understand that. You can be strong and kind.
Exactly. And
And
showing restraint in that manner is one of the greatest strengths that they don't show.
they tried, I think they tried that a little bit with Captain Marvel, where
Well,
she like talked to Peter Parker,
they tried to make her snarky and funny and a tomboy, and
but they went too far.
it just didn't come off in that way.
It
And
didn't
it's
feel
sad.
natural.
Yeah, and it's sad. Because it had a lot of potential. It was a pretty
Mhm.
decent story.
Yeah.
It's just for whatever reason the chemistry was just off.
Well, yeah. And I don't understand where they went wrong because that's how she is in the comics. She's snarky, she's powerful, and she's funny. But she's not like the Captain Marvel in the movie is arrogant. Like
now,
she's
so,
all powerful and she knows it. The other
yeah,
one is like, I'm strong and I'm cocky, but I'm not a
But I'm
jerk about it.
funny about it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm cheeky without being a jerk. And
Right.
that's a turn off for characters of either gender, you know?
Yeah.
yes.
Because
Well, I mean, it depends.
Tony Stark is funny and self-deprecating, and he is arrogant, but he's also kind-hearted. Like they show several different
Well,
facets to his personality. He's multidimensional.
we were
Yeah.
talking about Iron Man earlier on, and how in the first movie he was vulnerable at the beginning when he got blown up,
Right.
where he fought past it, created the suit, and then at the end he gets his butt whooped again by the
Yep.
new suit, but he uses his intellect, his just himself, his own way to fight back. But in the end, he doesn't win the day. Pepper does.
Oh,
Pepper wins.
Yeah.
Pepper fries him.
And
a, a truly
the
strong female character.
well,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't resent her in any form or fashion for this, which is the
Mm-hmm.
cool thing. Where
Which
he's
is
like, you know
something
what?
they do all the time too.
We're standing side by side and we're fighting together. And whoever kills him or deals with it or wins or whatever is the one that does it, and they support
Yeah.
each other.
Right.
Well,
And
then
So
then,
like
oh,
you
and then
first.
instead
in
of
this,
the somebody does the bulk of the fighting and then somebody else swoops in and takes care of it, I don't know. There are a lot of older movies where at the end the guy has to swoop in and save the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you have the second movie, which at the beginning gets his butt whooped. It follows
Yep.
a similar progression. He um, he's like he gets his butt whooped to a degree. The guy gets away in a way. Or no, he gets arrested. He beats him, but he doesn't fare that well. It shows that he still has vulnerability because somebody else got ingenuitive. They did all these
Mm-hmm.
things. They did similar to what he did at the beginning of the first movie, or in the first part of the first act of the first movie, not the very beginning. And then
Yeah.
and then that guy, he's not right in the head. He's generally just kind of crazy.
I mean,
But
he was listening to kill people, so I mean,
yeah, right.
it's your first marker.
Yeah, but it shows a and then Tony Stark wins the fight because he's Tony Stark, and he has a better Iron Man suit in this particular case. He's perfected it to a degree, and then he's still tinkering and things like that, and then he shows vulnerability because he has PTSD from the New York happenings, or not
That
the New
was
York.
more
No,
the
no, that
that's
was
third
3.
movie.
Sorry. This one he just shows generally that he's not doing well. He's suffering from an illness. He's trying to figure things out, and he can't. You know
He's
what I mean?
trying to reconnect with Pepper, who is having all the strain of running an entire multinational billion-dollar corporation. People really don't like. People really, really don't believe Pepper is a strong character. Like,
She
I
is
don't understand.
absolutely a strong character. Anybody
Yeah.
who says otherwise is just crazy.
And
But
it's not, she didn't earn, like, she earned her position in that company. She
She
didn't,
didn't
like,
just like
she
get it.
didn't sleep her way to the top. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, Pepper just slept her way to the top. No. She knew the ins and outs of all of this, and she was the right person, to be placed in there.
Like, but anyway, an Iron Man 2, like, this is another thing, is the intersectionality is what I was talking about earlier, with people like trying to say that anybody who's not white, male, and straight is oppressed in some way. Like, it, I don't care what color, what like orientation you are. I don't care if you like this person or that person. I don't care who you are. If you're a decent person, you're a good person. But they focus so much on this stuff, like, and they push it so hard that it doesn't feel natural. In the end of Iron Man 2, Tony Stark is saved by a black man.
Yeah.
Yep.
If he wasn't there, he would have died.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And that is something that felt natural and whole because it was a good character who had a good story arc and
a good
was
switch.
a decent person overall. Yeah.
A great switch on actors there. So a lot of people don't like to point it out, but the previous actor for Rogers, Captain
Rhodes.
Rogers, yeah,
Rhodes.
huh?
Rhodes.
Rhodes. That's it. Sorry. He was terrible. He was a B movie actor, and he was, no, don't get me wrong, he's a good dude probably, but he just didn't fit that part, and he knew that.
He was miscast.
No, it wasn't that he was miscast. It was that budget came into play.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
he was cast because he didn't cost as much.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because he knows that, and that's gotta sting.
I wouldn't feel bad for him.
I mean,
No.
I'm thinking how I would feel.
He did his
in that
best
situation.
job, and he did a good job. Don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. Like, he did a good job. The other guy was just better suited for the role.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that. He relinquished it without a fuss or a fight. He didn't throw, like, oh, they just kicked me out because, well, really he couldn't, because he couldn't say, oh, they threw me out because I was a black guy. I mean.
Yeah, that'd be a little difficult to.
Note to self, though,
swing.
Rhodes is in fact a white dude in many of the comics.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things is that in
But
this
it didn't matter.
feels
So-
natural.
It doesn't.
He was a good actor with the right personality. It just fit the role perfectly. So
Yes.
who cares?
So in the first movie, he was a forced black character, and that's why it didn't feel natural, because the guy wasn't right for the role. He was a budget buy, so to speak. And I'm not saying that to insult the guy. I'm just saying he's not, he's not Hugh
fit for
Jackman.
that
He's
role.
not that person. Nor did you need somebody who cost that much, because his role wasn't that large in the movie. He was a part of it, but he wasn't that big.
I think he actually had more screen time than Captain Marvel did in Endgame. Wait a minute.
He actually had a lot of screen time. He
didn't have a lot of speaking.
And that's one thing I like. He is a sub character, but throughout the span of the movie series, the entire Marvel universe there, he got developed. He may never have had his own movie, but you felt for him when he got paralyzed, because one, the actor played it very well. Two, They showed that. They didn't have. You don't have to ram it down people's throat. You show it naturally through the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they did
Yeah.
that very well with him. Even though he was a second bypass character and all that stuff, you still felt connected to him. Right
Yeah.
person,
Yeah.
right thing. Technically, and I'm not saying this. I'm saying this because it's going to lead me into something else. Him being black versus him being white in the comics does not matter, and it does not matter to those who like the series.
Yeah.
What matters is that the character or the actor is playing the correct character. Because in the first movie, he wasn't the hotshot pilot that, basically snarks at Tony all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if anybody's actually like, have you guys both read the actual Lord of the Rings books?
I read the first two. I
That's fine.
couldn't get
The
the
second
third
one
to
you would have
load.
heard this a lot. So Gimli and the elf, I can't remember his name now.
Legolas.
Yeah.
Gimli and Legolas have this long-standing competition where
Yes.
they
Mm-hmm.
count up how many orcs and things that they have killed. The exact same thing happens in the comics where Tony and him basically have a competition as to who's doing better using the Iron Man suit.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that encompasses most of that. And you didn't get that with the first actor. He
Yeah.
was kowtowed. He played to Tony. That's
He
not
didn't
who
stand up
Rhodes
to
was.
Tony.
Yeah, he didn't
He
stand up.
didn't bounce off against him.
He did
Most
a
of the good
little
actors.
bit, like he did a little bit here and there, but not to the level that he should have. But
Yeah.
the second guy who played him, absolutely. Every time Tony did something stupid, he went
He was
downstairs, got into a suit, came up there, and kicked his ass.
he was
They
not
were
putting up with
appropriate
his crap.
foils.
Yeah, he did the appropriate thing for the character he was playing, regardless of his skin color.
Yeah.
Now, when you take somebody who, long-standing, all right, so, all right, let's roll this right into the next thing, which ticks me off to no end,
Well,
is
can
the
I
Captain
do
America.
okay, well, can I do one thing on what we just talked about the appropriate character?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go for it.
It's like cosplay, right? It doesn't matter what you look like. You can cosplay anybody the freak you want, right?
You have
Yeah.
to be that person, though.
You can crossplay, you can gender bend it, you can mash up a couple characters, but if you don't honor like the essence of who your character actually is, that's when you make people mad.
Fat Deadpool. That's just the easiest way to put that. Deadpool, I have seen many fat Deadpools who play Deadpool.
Yeah,
And
and you
that's
can do
perfectly
it.
like they encompass his mirk with the mouth.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's like
Or
your friend
so
Dollypool.
hold on real quick. So there was this long-standing thing. I read it on the internet one time where there was a literal like cat fight kind of thing that happened at a nerd what do you call them?
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con thing.
Convention.
Yeah, a convention. This woman came in. She's a big fan of Mortal Kombat, or she not a fan. Well, the one woman. So there's two women. One woman said, "Hey, uh, like, hey, are you? I think you've messed up your costume."
I've seen
And
this. It's a comic.
huh? No. So she was dressed up as Now I don't know that much about
Kitana, if I remember correctly.
huh?
I've seen what you're talking about. Somebody made a little comic of it because
Yeah.
it.
So
fully
she was dressed up as the one who had the fans. She was the pink ninja girl, and she was a much larger woman, and that's fine. That's not the point. The point the woman was making wasn't that she was the pink girl with the scythes, the scythes, instead of and that girl is I want to say blue if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, or I might
Kitana.
have that backwards actually.
Katana.
Katana. She was as
She was
Katana.
blue. Yeah.
Yeah, she's blue, and she
Katana.
has the scythes.
She had the wrong weapon.
She had the wrong weapon, and that's what she was getting at. And this woman absolutely loses her shit on this other woman. She's like, "What? Are you saying because I'm fat I can't play it?" And the woman just sitting there like side-eyeing her, watching this happen and go, no, she has fans, not sides.
Like sword fan, like a knife fan. They're really cool.
Yeah, they are. So that was the whole point of her doing that, and that's what I'm talking about though. Like that's what you
Yeah,
were kind of saying. It's like you can cosplay as anybody. It doesn't matter who you look like. It
You
matters
have
that
to
you
have,
honor it.
yeah,
And
exactly. That's my
it
point on some of these actors that they're trying, but they're not the right person to honor the essence of some of these characters because some of them are very complicated, and if they've not done their research and really connected with the fan base on what people expect, then they're not going to hit it right. It's just going to be just off enough to where it doesn't resonate.
yeah.
right.
I think Brie Larson had that kind of phenomenon going on with Captain
The
Marvel
bi-
as well.
so the
Like,
biggest faux pas on that, and my personal opinion as far as the whole comic series goes, is the Fantastic Four. We didn't hate that movie because dude was black. We hated that movie because um, he
he
wasn't the
wasn't,
right character for that
yeah,
job.
he
Again,
Exactly.
was,
he was a
he,
terrible
he
person.
was,
He played as the leader. They took him out of his role as this, this
he's
individual
the hot
who
shot.
he's the hotshot. He's not supposed to be the leader, but because they paid him the most money, they put him front and center. And you know the worst part about that movie?
Hmm.
The worst thing that happened, they had a spot on, absolutely magnanimously, unbelievably good Doctor Doom.
They
He
did.
was amazing in that movie. And because people tried to get the quote unquote wider audience, they crapped that movie out.
Yeah.
And he could, like, I hope they make another one, and I hope they pick nobody else but him for Doctor Doom because he
Hmm.
did it perfectly. I was like, from reading the comics, watching the cartoons, he embodied that pompous, I'm
That
smarter and
arrogant.
better than, yeah, arrogance. And not only that, I'm going to continue to be better than you. I'm going to do this without you. So
Hmm.
he has this aura about him, and he did it amazingly. I was so happy with his cast, but
Hmm.
the problem
And then,
was,
hmm?
yeah, the problem was is that the rest of the cast didn't do it right.
Yeah,
Um,
they didn't have the right uh,
they
spirit. That's what I'm going to go with. The right
n-
word for that.
no,
Yes,
so
that's definitely the right word.
I would say that it was. I don't even think it's really a fault of the guy who played I can't why can't I, Johnny.
Yep.
I don't even think it was his fault. I think he came in and said, "Hey, he got the part, right?" And he's like, "All
Hmm.
right." He walks up to his director and the board of directors, and he's like, "All right, so how are we doing this movie?" And they're like, "We paid you 10 times as much as we paid everybody else. You're the star of the show." And he's like, "Absolutely. I love it. So I'm Mr. Fantastic?" You know what I mean? Like that should have been the words that came out of his mouth because Mr.
Yeah,
Fantastic
he's the
is the
leader.
leader. But
I think he
no,
actually could have made a good Mr. Fantastic thinking about it.
yeah, exactly. If you had taken him and made him slightly less abrasive and gave him that
Hmm.
kind of like, so I think the failing on that was from the director's point of view.
Yeah.
What they were wanting him to do was not the correct thing for either his character or for the actor. Because he's
Yeah.
not a bad actor by nature. He's not.
It's like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, wow.
What about it?
Suicide Squad Joker.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
Heath
that one.
Ledger there, bud.
It's not Heath Ledger? Who is that?
No, Heath Ledger
Heath
did
Ledger
an
was the good one.
amazing
He's the
job.
Wait, who am I confusing him for? I'm confusing him for
30
somebody
Seconds
else.
from Mars. I don't actually know the dude's name. I
I
just
don't know
know
his
what
name
he
either.
actually does for a living.
Why did I think Heath Ledger? Hang on.
Requiem
Let me
for a
Google his
Dream.
name.
These are things he is in. I don't know his name. Yeah.
Hold on, give
So,
me 2 seconds.
what's up?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was from. Yeah,
Go on.
where was he? What was he in? He was in some
30. He's
I,
like
from
He's
He's
in a
30
ton of
Seconds from
stuff.
Mars. He's a singer by nature.
Yeah, well, no, he was what
He's
was
an
he
actor
in?
first, and he did Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Which, so here's the big problem with when they casted him
My
as
So-Called
Joker.
Life. Holy crap. He was in My So-Called Life.
Yeah. So
Oh,
here's
I
the
feel
biggest
cold right
problem.
now.
You took a person who was supposed to be Joker, and you steam. I don't even know what they did.
It's like they
He's
tried
not a
to.
bad
I don't
actor.
know.
He is a good actor.
I don't know
He
what they
really
did.
is.
He is.
Like, what is Joker
But his
supposed to be?
role, like when they said, "Hey, we want you to be Joker," he should have side-eyed him and went, "You want me to be Joker? I'm the deadpan serious face, um, emo boy. That's
Yeah.
what
Well,
I
then you can
do.
do that
That's
with
what I
Joker.
do
Put a big red smile on
regardless."
it.
Listen, he should have just handed him his CD and went, "Listen to this."
Yeah.
It's like I
He
won't. I'll take your money and I will shit all over this movie, but please listen to my music before you let me do this.
Yeah, do some
Yeah.
research into my characters and like. Well, and then
Okay, no.
I think he
Look at
could have
some of the
done.
schlock that Heath Ledger was in.
Yeah,
Think
well, I
about
mean,
some of that.
I think that Jared Leto could have been a good Joker if he was a real Joker and not the weird crackhead that they tried to make him out to be.
No, Heath Ledger went for, okay, I present to you the terrible movie Night.
Knight.
Okay.
Knight?
Yeah, the medieval knight jousting crap that he did.
Never
Oh,
heard of it.
Schlocky as
okay.
heck. And
So
as soon as they said Joker for him, I thought, oh crap. But he did barely restrained psycho violent in such a realistic and just it was almost frightening way. I mean, he
Yeah.
was scary.
Well,
He
then
was
they totally lost the point of Joker with Jared Leto's Joker.
yeah. They were trying to move away from that because you can't replicate Heath Ledger's performance. There's no way. He's iconic at this point.
But
Right.
there's so much source material that you could have done. There are thousands of Jokers that you could have
There's so many
replicated.
different iterations. But that was such a gritty and amazing, it freaked the crap out of me.
Coming off the high of the Heath Ledger Joker, they thought we need to do something different. So they did
Yeah,
whatever
if
the hell that was.
funny Joker, that would have worked really well too, though.
Mhm.
The complete opposite.
Yeah,
where
where he's actually funny.
all right.
Yeah,
So
well, no, he's never been actually funny.
can I?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I don't
Sorry.
want to interrupt you guys. I was just trying. I didn't want to lose my thought there for a second.
Yep.
So, the new Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, and the original Joker. You know what they all have in common?
What?
Both the new Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker spent so Heath Ledger stated he spent upwards of 100 hours talking to oh man, I'm not going to remember his name. Who's the original Joker from the movies?
Oh man. Oh my god. I
Jack
don't remember
Nicholson.
his name.
Jack
Yeah, there you go.
Jack Nicholson is amazing.
Yeah,
How did I forget his name? I'm forgetting everybody's name today.
right.
It's
I just
like
have a hard time
almost
with
1
names,
in the
period.
morning.
That's just part of my thing. But so the big thing is they both of them spent a lot of time with Jack Nicholson.
Mm-hmm.
The guy from the Suicide Squad, he spent zero time with him because it's not the character they wanted him to play, mind you.
They want him to be somebody totally different.
Yeah. So they did. It just wasn't the right person for the role, and he didn't do the research. Either A, because they told him not to, because Jack Nicholson plainly said to Heath Ledger, he's like, "Be careful."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "This almost broke me." And
Yeah.
looking at the spindly little Australian boy, it went, and I'm a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there are a few people who are as manly as Jack Nicholson, because he the
Yeah.
man, and we should all men should aspire to be a fraction of what that man's libido is, or not libido.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Joker,
sorry,
dude.
that's not the right word.
Hello.
We all know what Joker's here for. Take off your pants.
Yeah, no.
But
But to his level of being manly, like
yeah,
there's a few people in the world who are that manly. Like they don't embody the actual essence of
He
that
has presence.
persona. He has a presence, exactly.
I mean, and it
A few
doesn't
people I
have
can think of
presence.
is what's his
Clint
name?
Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. Yeah, that's the other person I was thinking of. And who's the guy? He dead now, but the Marlboro Man.
Oh yeah, I know.
um,
John
uh,
Wayne. John Wayne.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, people like that. Um, and then if you want a slightly more subdued but equally as presenceful is you have James Bond. What's his name?
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. Yep.
I was like, that's something
Hey,
that they were
hey, I
trying
heard
to
that.
do.
I mean, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
something they were trying. Bruce Campbell's a good one too.
Yes, yes, he is. Ted
Well,
Raimi.
so
But
I get your
I'm sorry.
point,
Are we
but
just naming all of my like? Oh, sorry.
Bruce Campbell doesn't embody like manliness in the same fashion.
yeah,
No.
he's a different branch.
He is different.
He's awesome.
He is
Bruce
awesome,
Campbell's
and I am
amazing.
a Bruce Campbell fan too. But he's not manly in that degree.
Yeah.
He's your beta manly. I don't know how better to explain that.
Uh, I had a word for it, lost it.
Manly goober.
Yeah.
Silly manly.
Huh? Semi
Silly
manly, sure.
manly.
But
Silly
no,
is what I said, but that
no.
works too.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Don't misunderstand. And
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell does a lot of good things, but he's your class clown. That's what
Yes.
he is.
hmm
He was the kid in school who pissed off the teachers. He was the class clown.
He's the one with pencils up his nose.
Yes, absolutely.
But only when people turned around.
No. He did it right in front of their face.
Yeah. He's not subtle.
But yeah, I don't even know how we got here.
So
But
I
I actually
started
had a
talking
thought
about hot dudes.
back
Oh.
on the problems with geekdom. Like, did you hear? Do you remember when they were trying to say that they were going to make the next James Bond a woman? Like that doesn't. It doesn't quite fit James Bond. Like I'd like to see them try, but I wouldn't keep my hopes up for it.
James Bond. Okay, I don't like. We actually just talked about this like what a couple days ago, hon.
The new James Bond.
The new James Bond movies. Daniel Craig is a great actor, but he's limited by what they give him as far as direction and all that. But the new James Bond is just an action movie with some
Yes.
spice.
It's not a James Bond movie.
It's not a James Bond movie. James Bond is Sean Connery
Yes.
and
Don't
Roger
you dare
Moore
No.
and Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, yes. Roger Moore,
Pierce
no.
Brosnan. Yeah, I still like Roger Moore, but
He's-
James Bond is not the guy that gets dirty and gets hurt. James Bond is the guy that jumps out of a helicopter, parachutes down, lands flawlessly, strips down to a three-piece suit and pours himself a martini and makes some snarky comment and finds some chick and skis down a mountain slope. That is James Bond. It's
Yeah.
schlocky. It's amazing. And that's the whole
That's what you're
point.
here for.
Exactly.
James Bond has a smug energy around him,
He's
Right.
a preposterous sex god, is what he is.
All right. Now,
like Danny DeVito.
I will say this in defense.
What?
Anyway, not a defense of that.
No,
No,
thank
disavow.
God.
I will say this in defense of him as being James Bond. Now, if you've watched James Bond over the years, it went from it's slow, and I think it has less to do with, times or anything like that, so much as ability. When Sean Connery was James Bond, you couldn't do certain things. Does that make sense?
You
The
couldn't do the
CGI
same
didn't
graphic
exist.
fidelity we have.
Yeah, things like that. Things that you were able to do in a movie were far less. And as you watch the progression over time, James Bond didn't where we're at now with it's mostly just an action movie. That didn't happen overnight. That's not the new actor's fault. That is just the progression of James Bond over the what is it, like 60 years since James Bond first came out? Something like that,
I think
right?
so.
So over those years, that's what it's become.
Yeah, it's not. I don't dislike Daniel Craig as an actor. I think he actually does a fantastic job as what they've decided James Bond needs to be. I just
Yeah.
don't like that. I want the schlocky and fun and cheeky, irreverent James Bond back. I don't want, little tongue-in-cheek he name somebody something really overtly sexual.
Well,
Have
and
it.
then you can do that with the current setup of overblown action and things like that. It's just that they aren't, because they're
Well,
trying to make it more quote unquote classy and for the times.
yeah, but you can
But that's
still.
not what you're here for.
Yeah, but you can have a chick with some name like that, and he tries to make fun, and she kicks him in the nuts. I mean,
Yeah,
just
you could do that. I
yeah.
mean, she would never
Or you know
be
what?
able to actually hit his nuts. He'd probably block it, but he could have some snide remark about her going for it too. Like, I see you went for the nuts. Very classic move. Very fond of that move myself.
Yeah, I mean, they can have some witty banter. You can update it a little bit. That's
Yeah.
fine. I miss the feeling of the movies where
Hmm.
it wasn't raw and gritty and all of that. It was polished and fun.
Well, then it's
And
like even just the 007 games on GameCube captured that essence, and there was no dialogue from James Bond because you played as him, and it was just action, but it still had that same feeling. Like if you wanted to go in with a rocket launcher and jump down off a balcony and throw and launch a rocket at a guy and then do whatever you wanted, you could. Or you could sneak your way through the whole thing with a silenced pistol and accomplish the same thing while being all sneaky and spy-like. Or you could do both. And that's they're trying to limit James Bond in that he either has to be super suave spy man or an action hero. And he can do both, and he has done both in previous media.
I just want the swagger back, you know?
Yeah. I just want the bad puns back.
Yes.
Throw a guy into a tub and throw a hot plate into it, zap him to death. It was shocking, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you're right about that. I agree with you on that. I do.
The bad
Uh,
puns?
yeah, that is 100% part of the allure of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that's what makes him fun.
That's what makes him James Bond and not just some other random spy movie.
Yeah, he can play it off, is the thing.
Yeah. No,
You
I
could have
agree.
the gritty existential dread about murdering a man, or you can have him shoot him in the eyes and be like, oh, you didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't, like, in that regard, you can't do both. Because it just doesn't work together. But James Bond knows no limits. So you probably could find a way to have it work together. Like after he goes home after a long day and he's dreading work, like it's a persona he puts on. But that wouldn't be interesting to watch.
No, it would not.
Yeah, I like the escapist quality of you know, the actual James Bond movies.
And that's another thing that's up with the geekdom as a whole. We're not here to see today's issues. We're not here to see politics. We're here to get
Yes.
away from it all.
Exactly.
I don't want to turn on the TV and watch The Flash on Netflix because I loved the first few seasons of The Flash and get something about race relations. I hear about that all day. I don't want to hear about it. I'm here to watch a man go fast.
Exactly.
And possibly sing. If they let
And
him sing, I'm really happy.
Grant Gustin is a good singer,
He
but
is.
that's beside the point.
Okay.
He was a
Like,
Broadway star before he was the Flash.
he was on Glee,
He was on Broadway first.
Huh.
and he's not gay. That's very
Are you sure?
confusing to me. Yeah, it's
That was a
He's a
joke,
hipster.
sir.
He's a hipster.
same difference then.
Yeah.
But that's actually like I know that's like a harmful stereotype,
What
but
is?
the gay people being in Broadway thing, like face it, people in theater, It's true. You
Not
can't deny it.
not all
Not
of it.
always, but quite a few.
Yeah. But is that an insult? That's saying, hey, you're massively talented and appreciated for your art. What? How's that an insult?
I
Elton
don't.
John and Rick
What?
Astley.
Well, he's never going to give you up.
He's never gonna let me down. But
Let you down.
copyright claims aside,
If I sing it, trust me, nobody's gonna copyright claim it.
we don't want to be affiliated.
We're just gonna ignore this.
Moving on.
Moving on now. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna take the gold and run on this one. Okay. Um, but yeah, no. Yeah, you can't. What in the world, Mad Tortoise?
Like
Why do I
angry
not
or
fear
crazy?
He's insane. Why do I not fear the tortoise? Is there a reason for that?
Do you fear the Reaper?
I do fear the Reaper.
But final thoughts on the fandom, what people can do to, or what they can do basically, to get rid of the stupidity.
Listen to their fate?
Well, you
Actual
can't,
fans.
short of sacrificing Kathleen Kennedy to the Star Wars gods, I don't think there's much you can do there.
So okay,
But-
so here, let me stop you right there because I don't like that. No, I don't like that
What?
one bit.
No.
That Kathleen Kennedy is the one who played Rey, right?
No, she's the not director. Star Wars. No,
President of Lucasfilm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought you were talking about the girl who played Rey.
No.
She
I
had-
don't like that at all because she
Kathleen Kennedy had executive power over everything.
right. Okay.
She should have seen a lot of this coming and gone, you guys are doing something weird.
Okay.
I don't know what, I don't know how to say it, but you're doing something weird.
The first thing she should have done is when dude walked into the room and said, "Hey, I'm going to just kind of ignore what he did." She should have looked at him in the face and go, "No,
Get out. You're gonna get out.
get out. We're gonna wait for it. We're gonna wait the extra 3 years."
Mm-hmm.
Which is what they should have done. So
Yeah.
him being chosen as director was hey, dude's got to do a different movie. Which I think he did Aquaman, if I'm not mistaken, in between, right?
I think so.
I think J.J. Abrams did that. J.J. Abrams
Definitely.
is a very good very good director at
Mhm.
what he does, and what he
Yeah.
does is sci-fi. He does sci-fi very well. You should not have
Mhm.
You should not have allowed Dingleberry to
Ryan
get
Johnson.
in there. Like that dude does indie films and like weird.
Oh, he does? I
Yeah.
didn't ever look at his
Yeah,
filmography. That explains
he-
the stupid casino scene so much more.
Right. He is a massively political, massively he just now don't get me wrong, some people love those kind of movies.
Yeah.
And that's great. But they're not Star Wars movies.
No, Star Wars is supposed to be schlocky.
It doesn't even have,
Lasers.
it doesn't have to be schlocky. It
Well, you
can
can
be
have a
serious
great
to a
story.
degree, and it can be fun and all that stuff. Because through all of them, other than the second one, where it was nothing but don't get me wrong, there was a lot of good parts of the second movie, episode 2, sorry,
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, that
Or,
was there were a lot of really good parts. They were the part without Anakin Skywalker in them.
Yeah.
The parts where he is taken out of it, other than the first scene where they're running through through Coruscant, that was actually a
Yeah.
good scene.
Yeah,
But
that
when they take him out of the movie, if you take him and Gurley out of the movie and the pedophile nonsense, because he's like 16 years old and she's like 30.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, really quite
He
strange.
is a
Because
kid.
she was 18. She was on her last year as being president when he was 6.
Yeah.
None of that is okay. Like he wasn't even old enough for the second part. But
Yeah.
that wasn't the point of that. The point was to show this love scene. We as humans just go, wasn't he 6 years old and she was, yeah.
Yeah, she was a predator.
Yeah, exactly. So he just when he picked that kind of scenario, like if he had said it no, he's 13 years old and she's like she's 16. He's 13, she's 16. When they grow up, the age isn't that big of a deal. Once they both
Yeah.
break the 18-year-old, it's only, it's still only a 3-year difference. Fine.
And you're
That's
speaking
fine and
from
dandy. We don't
experience.
care. Just
3 years is nothing. Four
3 yeah.
years.
What?
What? Huh?
But no, my point is that beyond that part of it
Mhm.
is actually not a terrible movie. It furthers the plot line. Basically, all the Obi-Wan stuff was amazing in that movie. The
Because
whole
Ewan McGregor is a god.
yeah, he is an amazing
Uh,
actor. He
He's
cannot
had a
do anything
few
wrong.
absolute. Yes, he can.
What?
What?
There's one movie that should never be seen again.
That's
Which
fine.
one? I don't
It's a.
remember.
You
It's
can't
fine.
see it. It's inappropriate.
Yeah, I can. I'm a
Anyway.
legal adult. I can consent.
Okay.
Legal schmeagle.
But the point I'm getting at
I'm
here
gonna
is
take that out
that
of context so many times.
the point I'm getting at here is that oh, now I've lost it. Oh, so you can take all those things, and if you put in the wrong directors,
Hmm.
you screw up what you've already done.
Yeah.
So by just cutting out Lucas altogether, you've already made a mistake. He created this world. He's the one who made it so profitable that you paid him millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to buy everything from him.
Hmm.
So you
And
then, at all cost, try to consult him. Because I guarantee you, if any of the directors, Abrams may have, because you got that kind of feeling in the first one,
Yeah.
not the
It
third
felt.
one. The third
It
one
felt
felt like
there was
Abrams
wonder
was
in
like, well, I have, like he was given,
his
a pot.
sandcastle was messed up, so he was messing up Brian Johnson's new sandcastle.
Yeah,
He
so
had
yeah,
an absolute Charlie Foxtrot of a mess to clean up, and
yeah,
he did the best he could.
Yeah. Which
yeah.
okay,
So
it's not.
if time travel existed, JJ would have went, all right, we're having 4 fucking movies. I'm gonna pay for the next one.
Yep.
We're gonna go back and erase that movie from existence. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna go
Mhm.
back and so, oh, we screwed everything up. None of this was real. Like make her wake up from a dream. Like that whole movie
Alternate
was
timeline.
just a dream.
It's what he should have done in the beginning.
Yeah.
You're
Have
still
her be training with Luke and have that all be a nightmare.
Yeah, it was just this weird nightmare. That was all the mystery of when she like that one moment when she was down in the hole, the weird hole in
was
the ocean
high.
that made absolutely no sense.
Third movie
Like-
starts out, she wakes up from a meditating with sweat. It's like, what happened? I
Yeah,
saw.
she's sitting in that room with the weird
Horror.
mirror wall, and it's like, oh, what happened? Like that's how you start the next movie, and they're like, oh
Mhm.
no, that was just a dream. That was a
She-
precognition of the
she was-
future if you don't
a
change
possible
it.
future, not
Yeah,
the
that-
future. A possible future.
That's a possible future. And you have Luke standing there staring at her going, what did you see? And that's
can't
when he
explain.
snaps into the evil. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Then you proceed with the actual story. Yeah, I can see a way out of that, but that would
Yeah.
require Disney to go, here's another movie slot. And they're not going to do
Mhm.
that. They're already like, huh, the last movie was a
Whatever.
dumpster fire and we lost millions upon millions.
Mhm.
We've already paid you for the next movie, so you have to make it. So
Okay.
make it
I-
and use the dumpster fire you were given and
Good
do it
luck.
under budget.
All right.
Because
Madre.
that's what they told him. He had his budget cut like by a third.
Wow.
It's part of the reason why you see like instead of like space travel back and forth and stuff like that and interesting conversations while they're doing that, it's like no, now they're here. 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 Now they're here.
They're going.
Yeah.
We have no budget. We have to just time skip. Make
Yeah,
some
we have to
screenwriting.
basically it is a movie filled with time skips because they lost their budget. All those cool things they were gonna do, space battle, like he was talking about, there's space battles involved, and
Mhm.
like there's a whole subplot line around this, and then he's like, oh, who is this little Chinese girl I have to play with now? Oh, I have to. Oh, she got promised for the next movie. I'm gonna kill her real quick.
But
Am I wrong? He's like, I'm gonna take you and make you unbelievable and just throw you over in the corner and you can go pout because I don't want you.
Yeah.
You weren't a part of the movies.
All right,
But
hey guys,
oh man.
it's 1 in the morning. I'm gonna log off.
All
All
right,
right, we'll wrap this up soon.
All right,
all
But
right,
guys.
madam.
Good night.
Good
Slash
night.
morning.
Yeah,
I
we will
have
see. I will see you tomorrow, and we will have Borderlands tomorrow.
Woo-hoo.
We'll wrap it up here. Is there any final thoughts or things you want to say before you head off, madam?
I know I have one, so if you have any, go ahead and go.
No, go ahead, guys. I think we've.
All right. It's not Rey's lightsaber. The end of the movie. It's not. It's
do you mean?
C-3PO's. He's the last remaining Skywalker in that continuity.
What are you talking about?
Anakin built C-3PO. So
Right.
he is property. You can view C-3PO as almost a descendant of Anakin. All of the Skywalkers, if you conclude that Rey is Palpatine's daughter, all of the Skywalkers are dead except for C-3PO. It's his lightsaber.
Hmm. All right, madam. I'll let you head off. I have a small anecdote about the end of the movie, but I'll let you sign off real quick if you want to say bye.
Alrighty. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Oh, she's gone. We can talk about the movie now.
So the end. Oh yeah, you've already. She hadn't seen it yet. I
Yeah,
guess
that's why I
spoiler
was
alert.
leaving semi-vague.
Yeah, but no. So the end of that movie,
Mhm.
when she goes back to the little hut and she sits down, she should be. So if they had done it right,
Mhm.
there is a way for them, and I think they should have done this, and I think JJ should have done this. She should
Mhm.
have been pregnant.
How?
Well,
By the Force.
yeah. So the Star Wars or the Skywalker line should continue.
Yeah.
That is what I
By
think
all means,
truly
it should.
should have happened in that movie.
Mhm.
And the reason why he didn't do something to that degree is beyond me.
It might have offended the people saying that, like, oh, she can't be pregnant because she's a lesbian. Like,
When is she a lesbian?
there's so because
She's not a
if
lesbian.
they
She was literally in love with the dude.
I know,
That's where that
but if
storyline was going in the beginning.
but if in this is another problem in geekdom as a whole. If a woman doesn't automatically have a male love interest, they assume that they are either gay or bisexual, which kind of pigeonholes gay people because it turns them into nothing more than sex maniacs. Because if you can't show this, then there's no reason for this.
That is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Mhm.
We
Which
can
is a
be
problem.
individuals.
I know, like you can be gay without having to show their like sexual urges for this one person because it makes gay people out to be nothing more than a ball of sexual tension, and that's a problem.
And that is and when you said disservice, you were 100%
Mhm.
correct. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't say I have a lot of them, but I surprisingly, when I was working at Walmart
Mhm.
quite a few years back to make ends meet, when I first moved here, there
Mhm.
was there's a surprisingly large amount of um, uh, I don't know the politically correct term, but there was a bunch of gay people working there, right?
Okay.
Like there was just a lot of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I honestly think, in my personal opinion, because we live in the South and it's not as widely accepted by some people in the South. For the most part,
Yeah.
Knoxville is kind of immune to that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have. It's a bigger city, so it doesn't have quite
Yeah.
the same. But say rural areas, stuff like that,
Yeah.
and but in general, there's they probably get this sense of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost prejudice, I guess, in a way, towards them personally, And
Yeah.
they kind of like, when you find your own group of people, they're like, hey, I have an inn over here. Like I work at Walmart. You need a part-time job or something like that. Yeah, I got you covered. I'll have a talk
Hmm.
with my boss. Um, it's a good group of people. There's a lot of like-minded individuals,
Yeah.
and by all means, you'll be accepted here. You won't have to worry about that because I'm sure that is a worry they have,
Yeah.
rightfully so. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having that worry.
Hmm.
Um, so I have a few friends from there still. None of them, not a single one, are these like are they how they are portrayed. Take Will and Grace.
I've not met them.
No, Will and Grace is a TV show. There, genius.
Oh, I didn't. I've not seen it. I thought you were talking about friends of yours named Will and
No.
Grace.
All right. They all there, or are they spread out in other places too? Make
But
sure there's
that
nothing.
seems to be like, and then there's all this other thing where it's like I actually talked about this because I saw Frozen 2 yesterday at a drive-in movie theater. Well, a drive-in theater thing that
We will
the church is
end
putting on.
this episode. Sorry, real quick.
Hmm.
We're gonna end this episode on this raid.
Okay, but
And what
went
are they
there
doing?
and somebody
Oh,
said that they better make Elsa a lesbian because she carries strong lesbian vibes. I'm like, they, there's no point. There's no reason to. She doesn't need anybody. Like, if she's not attracted to anybody, let her be asexual. Who cares?
I get your point. Like the fact that anybody says they have to be one thing
Yeah.
or the other is kind of
You
ridiculous to begin with.
you pigeonhole people. You pigeonhole characters, and then as a whole, the story suffers.
Yes. Ooh,
It's
got
like
him.
if you want to make like I could actually see Elsa being bisexual, but there's no reason for it. Like I just don't see how that would help the story.
It doesn't.
And that's what I think that would be the real way to solve everything going on with geekdom is we don't need these things that do not contribute to the story. You have like you could have little subplots and you could have jokes and heck a couple interesting facts about a character might be good. But you don't need this stuff if it's not going to be integral.
No, you're absolutely right. Um, if there is no point to a specific part of a story, it shouldn't be in your movie.
Yes.
Um,
Movie, game, book, anything.
no, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna end on this raid though. So if you have any other thoughts, bud.
uh, nope, that's about it. Other than Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord. Changed my mind. It's one of the few theories that I proudly support because how else can you justify such a creature's existence as Jar Jar Binks?
How can I justify it? Because Misa like him. Misa
Please
think he
don't.
a good guy.
No,
Yeah,
don't.
I can do the voice. Didn't you know?
I think
Misa
you.
like a Jar Jar Binks, yeah.
I think you went into uh, German garden gnome there.
Did I?
Yeah,
What just happened?
but yeah, I think that's all I've got.
Oh shoot. Do I have more? I have more raiders coming, don't I? They're over there. Let me see. I got more down there. Oh my lord. They're nothing but tribesmen. And I've got like this is insanity.
Hmm.
This is gonna be gross. There's gonna be so many dead bodies. Just watch all the bullets.
Are you genociding again?
Can you see them? Are you watching?
No, I've not been watching because I get that
Oh.
weird like reverb where I hear myself
Oh,
a
okay.
couple seconds later, and I want to die inside because I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Oh, okay. But no, you should watch me slaughter these people maliciously and with zero regard for their. More down there. Oh my. No, don't turn that up. The tribesmen. I can hear it
Mhm.
on the. Yeah, I can hear myself on your thing. There.
Yeah. There we go. But yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I've started watching it. That's a lot.
That's on Discord too, buddy. No delay.
I pulled up YouTube because it's got a better bit rate.
Oh, okay.
But
Oh.
I think I'm gonna be hopping off soon because
Yeah.
it's getting late.
They haven't even touched me yet. Oh my lord! Look at all the dead bodies.
Wow.
They're just meat in the meat grinder here.
But yeah.
But no,
We had some
I
good
thank you
discussions.
for yeah, we had some good discussions. I think it went fairly well. This is our first long rant. It was just kind of an idea that Nate had
Mhm.
about doing this tonight, and I agreed. I thought it would be a good idea.
Like I like doing this with other people because doing it by yourself, you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of.
Well, I know, but I also do it by myself for another reason because I try to the regular ones. I'm gonna try and limit those. Like my goal is 30 minutes. I'm probably gonna go over most of the time, but I'm
Yeah.
shooting for a 30-minute video. That's
Mhm.
what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah.
This is not
Drop something.
what I was wanting to do. Anyway, I've got nothing for the weasel ones, the stupid homies to wear, and they're all complaining about it. Anyway, all right, man. I will see you later.
Right.
We'll end there on this video with a massive amount of dead tribesmen.
Good.
And I will show next time how this is actually supposed to work instead of burning my own dudes to death.
Does put a damper on
I'm
your
going to fill
relationship
this up with corpses, and then once the corpses are all full in here, we will burn it, and I'll show you how that works. But I'll see you later, Nate.
All right. See ya.
Yep. And thanks everybody for stopping in. I do appreciate it. And if you didn't catch the stream, I know it was a really late night stream. Anybody else who's up is as crazy as I am. But we will see you guys next time.